Okay, so hey everyone, Lash Luke here again with Party Jams. A little bit later than usual, but we're here talking about the weekly dose of Shonen Jump.
Hey guys. Yeah, so our schedule was a little busy today, so me and Luke are doing this a little later in the day. I know some of our viewers are probably like asleep based on their time zones. As always, we'll have like timestamps put in later, so you guys can watch the stream on recording. But thanks for those of you who do stop by.
Yeah, and also just a disclaimer: in England at the moment we're having a really bad storm, so if the stream does get cut off, then that will probably be the reason why. Hoping it doesn't, but can't guarantee anything.
Okay, yeah, I've been hearing stories about that. I was going to ask
Ye-
you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you doing
So
okay?
yeah, everything seems to be going all right for pretty much the whole day. So we're all right. So fingers crossed we can get through this without the internet going down. But if it does, then that'll be the reason why.
Yeah, or my end because that happens sometimes. Anyway, hey Sky Zed,
Yeah, hey
thanks for
Sky
dropping by.
said, thanks for dropping by. But yeah, so yeah, we got a new series this week. So I guess we'll just go right into that series. Earthchild.
I'll write down the timestamps. I do want to say, as a whole, I thought this week the chapters were a little more lukewarm than usual.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that was my overall takeaway. But we'll
yeah.
talk in more detail when we get to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Except for some, except for like a couple which I thought were pretty cool. We'll get to them when we get to them. But
Yeah,
yeah. But in terms of Earthchild, I have very mixed feelings about it. I don't think it'll be I think it'll just be like, okay, one and done. That's it for now. We'll wait until see what people are actually thinking about it before going back to it. But compared to Akane, I don't see myself reading this.
I might, depending on how they take this concept. But like you said, I'm also of mixed feelings, but I do want to acknowledge that this series is being received extremely well. See, every time on Sundays when I do the chapters, after I read them, I go online and see what people are saying, specifically Reddit. There's like an r/manga. And like this chapter was like the highest upvoted chapter of the week. So people are really digging what was put down, which is cool. It's great for the mangaka that their series being received very well, hopefully also in Japan for their sake. But at the same time, I think even a really good first chapter based on what this chapter does, I don't know if that necessarily spells success for the series so much as it just had a hook that got people interested. And yes, guys, that I agree. Yozakura is one of the good ones this week.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I was alluding to Yozakura. Which, oh, by the way, speaking of Yozakura, Shonen OG finally caught up with it, so that's good.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember hearing about that because he was on Project Manga's stream and talking about it.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway, Earthchild. So basically starts off with this like really it starts off with in the pretty much the same way as the manga and anime Fly Me to the Moon, where basically the main character goes into the road and is saved by a woman.
That's a very standard premise. And yes, guys, I'd also agree. This felt like a giant one shot. Which
Yeah,
honestly, if this was a one shot to a series, I would have been like, oh, hey, yeah, someday go and publish it. But it's weird to have, it's almost like this was the one shot that they had and presented to Shonen Jump or Shueisha, whoever. And that's what got them into the magazine. But for some reason, they decided to use said one shot as the chapter one. Because the other way I
yeah.
could phrase this is almost like an origin story for a main character, which you would think would make a good chapter one, but it kind of doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, and if I was going to compare it to any like opening of a series, I would go with the manga and anime cross games, which which I would say is one of the better sports series out there. Like I would definitely put it above Blue Box into a sports romance series, but yeah, the first chapter of that and the first episode of that feels really different from what the rest of the series is.
I was going to use Undead Unluck, but in that case, that series decided to go the extremely controversial route to get
Yeah,
eyes on their series. So it's another series that's very different from what goes forward, but well, we should probably talk about the chapter itself.
yeah. So we have the woman who's in like this really standard get up with just like a I want a mask on her face. I was gonna make was gonna make a joke about Rona, but I'm not going to.
And yeah, probably not a good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, we have this girl saving the main character, and then she's like, "Hey, look over here a second." Flashes her phone at him. And it's like, "Okay, your memory's right. See you later. Bye." And and then he wakes up in his bed. Well, wouldn't say wake up, more like, "Oh yeah, I'm just. Oh yeah, I've thrown off my bed. Was that a bad dream that was going on? What is going on here?" And it's a bit of a mind screw at times because you have no idea if he's like if what actually happened or if it was just all in his head.
Yeah, which I also did want to just make a quick point out for these early pages. There's like a whole speech about what it means to be like a hero and our heroes born, and that the conclusion it's comes to is that heroes are shaped and nurtured. So I will say, like, that first bit did interest me, and it's like, okay, seems like almost a contrast to My Hero, where their opening speech was about how people were just born differently, and that's just how it is. That's a huge running theme in the story that a lot of people miss. But it seems like the big theme in this story is heroes being raised, and that takes a very different meaning than you would think early on.
Yeah,
Early on, I was thinking, okay, so this is the story of this dude um, uh, raised up to be a hero or training, but not exactly.
yeah. Um, so just comment on this guy said, so I dropped Fly Me to the Moon after one episode. Oh, really? Because I watched it all the way through and I quite liked it. Undead Unluck is weird, man. It has heaps of good ideas, but just smoothed off about it when I'm reading it. A lot of reveals and plot twists just feel jarring and random to me. I think we're thinking about one of them.
Yeah, and I will agree. I think the big thing with Undead Unluck is it does a lot of cool things and a lot of cool concepts, including its power system, but its fundamental story structures and storytelling is very off, like almost on purpose because of what the writer wants the story to be, like this nonstop action jump. But because of that, nothing feels natural. And we'll talk about a lot of that once we get to Undead Unluck this week, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Um,
let's probably focus on this new series because
yeah.
we barely get started. So yeah, we can see well, I guess we'll call him the protagonist for now. He is like thinking about his memories. He's got nothing, and except he remembers that girl because he did mention that her image was seared into his brain. And then I guess he was just thinking this entire time, okay, well, there's no chance of me ever seeing her again, so I should probably just forget about her. But because this is a manga, he does see her, like basically immediately in the crowd. And I love the paneling done on page 10. Because one thing I will say for this series, while I was a little put off with it, this story mangaka does have talent because like the artwork and the paneling is very good, especially I think what they did on page 10 because you can just feel the movement of the characters actions from page 10 to 11.
Yeah, I agree with that. So it's just like a quick like, oh, he sees her, oh, he remembers what's happened, grabs her sleeve and like, no way, you can't be you. Yeah, it's you, it's her.
Yep, I think that was like very well done. So I think even if like I think the big thing is with this chapter is it almost doesn't give us the best feel for what the series is going to be about or how it's going to take the story, but at least it demonstrated the mangaka is capable. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign. Unlike like Protect Me Sugamaru, which the first chapter of that had me like, okay, well, I don't like the story, the character, or the art, so that's why we dropped it in like two chapters.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hey,
Oh,
Sacred Hero,
hey, Sacred Hero. But yeah, oh, Protect Me Sugimaro. Oh, that series, just hearing that name is just oh. But yeah, um so yeah, moving back to this chapter. So he finds the girl again. Uh, Risuki. I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, I think it's like
And
Risuki, something like that.
Risuki, and the girl is just like, hang on, why do you remember me? What's going on here? And it turns out that the memory wipe uh, memory wipe didn't work on Rizu. So the girl's like, how do you remember me? Is it some kind of drug? Is it some kind of drug? What's going on here? And yeah, and we actually do see, like, okay, so he's 17 years old, from Tokyo. um Relevance none, okay, I love this. I love this. Just like, oh, it's just the most average of average things, yet for some reason that overrides a memory wiping phone.
Yep. And I mean, it's weird the access of technology in this, which I don't know if the series will ever address that, but apparently the tech they have for this organization is just very high end. It just has like a database of like everybody.
Yeah. So whether or not that will be addressed, that remains to be seen. But yeah.
Because also, even just, well, I mean, we'll actually, I'll talk about this at that point later. Never mind, we can
Okay.
just kind of keep going.
Yeah.
But like, I think what we see here is that the our female lead is she was basically talking about how her life kind of sucks right now, and she doesn't really understand. She doesn't really want to get people involved. That's like her whole thing throughout this chapter. Well, till the end.
Yeah. So yeah, and she and let me get my thoughts together. Um yeah, so we have Risuki saying, "I get the feeling that you put real thought into how you live your life and face down whatever's to come, and he's always been impressed by people who can be useful to others, and if he could do something like that in the future, he wouldn't mind." Also, I get the feeling like he's someone who thinks of himself as useless and just wants to be useful to just that one person in life.
Yep. Which, I mean, nothing too unique there, but I guess it was a nice way to make him relatable.
Yeah, yeah, because
I think that's just the thing with. Sorry, I just wanted to say the quick thing. Like,
yeah,
I am
go on.
kind of glad that this series like isn't going to have him as like the main character going forward, because he is not a very interesting main character.
No,
So I just kind of
no,
want to bring that up with his little speech about, yeah, nothing special about me, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm glad we're not talking about you.
yeah, I'm glad. Um, oh, I've got the perfect name for him, Suika Light.
I don't even know if that makes sense. Suika was even like adorable from the beginning,
No,
and
no,
like she
no.
had way more passion behind.
Yeah, but but the thing that I'm referencing there is that Suika wanted to be useful to other people.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, yeah, I got you,
yeah.
I got you.
So it's like, oh my god, he's doing Suika here. um. So yeah. So yeah, they continue having their conversation about their lives and what people think about them, and we have Ryusuke saying he really doesn't get anything, but he knows he owes that one person his life, and so they be a hero to him, basically referring to the girl herself, because obviously she did save his life from getting hit by the truck in the first page. And we find out what her name is, Karinia Horsefuri. I think that's how
Yeah,
you pronounce
I,
it.
yeah, I think just calling her Kare Ri is probably good enough for now.
Okay,
Because
Kari.
Hoshifuri is kind of Hoshifuri is a little hard to say, not too
Yeah,
bad, but yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, she basically just kind of disappears, which confused me at first. I'm like, is this another one of your superpowers? But then when you see the next page, she just like did another memory wipe. So yeah, again, the author's very good with the paneling. The panel storytelling is very good. So I think they do have enough talent to like tell a good story. Just I don't know if the story is going to be good. So that's why I'm going to at least stick with it for now.
yeah, yeah. And I was just like, yeah. well, after reading the chapter, it's just like I said, it just felt like the story was over before it began, and I'm just like, I don't see where they can go from this unless what I think happened at the end of the chapter did happen. But we'll get to that when we get to it. So yeah, we despite uh, Carvenia escape and not, I shouldn't say escape, disappearing from. He's still able to catch up to her, and he's like, I had this impulse to rush back here, even though I forgot most everything, and now I know you're the real life hero. So basically, he's like, I don't know why I'm back here, but I know it has something to do. It has something to do with you, and for that reason, you're gonna be my hero. And she's like, oh, okay then. I guess I will chat with you or chat you up based on where I'm going with that.
Oh, and Skyza, I think you left some comments. Yeah, Shigemaru was pretty bad, as we said. Mitama, yeah, it kind of got a bit better near the end, but by that point, it was already on its way out. Um, I did like the characters in that series, and I think,
um
yeah, I also agree with you. Suika's not the only one who says they want to be useful. Like, I think even the female protagonist or female lead of Phantom Seer also wanted to be useful, so that is fair.
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But again, Dr. Stone is still in Shonen Jump, so it's the one I can compare it to.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah.
Okay, you can keep going. Just want
Yeah,
to read
so they get trying with each other, and this is where we actually find out that Karina is actually an Earth child, basically a child of the Earth, for lack of a better word. That gives her telekinetic abilities, but beyond that, she's just a normal human, and it's revealed that. At a certain stage, a fetus absorbs the Earth's substance, which I have no idea how that works.
Yeah, I'm assuming this is just going to be their version of, yeah, we're just kind of making this stuff up and just accept that this is just how special people are born. And I'll be like, cool. Now, they come up with some mumbo jumbo later to explain it. I think that'll honestly make this worse because, like,
Yeah.
spirits of the earth. And the other thing is, going over this story, I'm pretty sure this organization's like lying to her. There's no way this is their mission to protect life on the planet because you were born with some powers. Someone made this up. Someone's using them.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, wait, how does that work? How does a fetus absorb a certain ratio of the earthly substance? It's a fetus. It's not out of the womb yet.
Yeah, I think this is basically their way of saying mana or chakra or kai, except it's like magic from the air affects certain fetuses in development. It just affects some people more than others, and then they become called Earth Child. That's kind of the gist. Just like natural energies of the Earth give you superpowers,
Okay.
maybe.
All right, but yeah, in typical hero fashion, she's like, in reality, I could be replaced by a few thousand people. So there's no special reason why I was chosen for this. The Earth
And
is
I
in
want to
constant,
keep that point in mind for later, but sorry, keep going.
yeah,
That's an
the
important
Earth is in
point.
constant danger. Nobody's going to praise me for my efforts. So why was I even born like this if there's not going to be any reason for me to be praised by this? And of course, as she's saying this, she's thinking of like, oh, if only I was to fall in love with someone. Nah, forget about it. I couldn't do that. And then, of course, the male lead falls in love with her because apparently, without us knowing, it's been 5 years since the incident that happened where at the beginning of the chapter. And I was just like, wait, 5 years have passed.
Yep. Wait, sorry. Did we go to the 5 year time skip already?
Yeah, I think we. Oh no! Wait a minute. Let me go back quickly. Oh no, it's not the five. It's not the 5 year time skip. Yeah, see, I'm just a bit confused looking at some of the paneling as well because I thought that that the time skip went earlier than it did.
Okay, that's fair. I did want to point out something on the page where right before the love confession, And that is on page 26. They said, "Are you sure she'll be telling me all this?" And then she said, "There's no rules again. Says they don't care as long as it doesn't interfere with my work," which means something that I want to bring up and is honestly, I think, one of the things in the storytelling that doesn't work for me. Okay, so she didn't need to erase anybody's memories. This is not like early on when we had the whole Men in Black. Oh, I'm neuralizer. I erased your memories. You don't remember what happened. I was like, okay, secret organization. Got it. Got to keep these Esper people secret. But now she's like, no, they don't care. Who knows? Then I'm like, okay, wait, then you're just erasing people's memories because you don't want to get attached to them. That is kind of messed up. And second, um, it, if people know about these people because the organization doesn't care, then why is she so concerned about not getting praise? I feel like the world would know about Earth children if this is the case. So I'm not sure if I'm missing something there because I think it made it seem like they're not a secret or they don't have to be. It's just that they have the option to erase people's memories, but they don't have to. Not sure if it's just encouraged or something.
I'm guessing it's just encouraged.
Okay, I'll just accept it as that because it's just very weird that they treated like some kind of secret spy group, but then they're like, yeah, they don't care. There's no rules against telling people everything about Earth children and what we do. And I'm like, but then, and I'm okay with the main character if this is just her gimmick of trying to stop people from getting to know her. This is just her way of detaching from the world. It's kind of an interesting character trait, but even if it's a little messed up. But it also makes me wonder why she's so concerned about, oh, I'm never going to get praised. It's like, yeah, you're never going to get praised because you took the optional memory erasing
Yeah,
route.
I'm surprised he didn't bring that up.
Well, I did. I was going to, but then you talked about a 5-year
No,
time skip.
no,
So
no, no. I'm surprised. I'm surprised the main character didn't bring it up.
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe I'm not sure if this was a translation thing or this was like a not issue in the because like it feels like the right now in the storytelling the author almost just like wants his cake and eating it too, where it's like, oh, she has to do this in secret, but also there's no reason for her to do it in secret. So that's why the main character doesn't just go directly to jail for learning all this.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Uh,
I'll just accept that as it is. When we learn more about the group, I think then maybe it'll be clear. I don't know.
I don't know either, but yeah. So we've had the confession. She blushes and she's like, "How dare you? How dare you be the first to say it?" Like, okay, so you didn't want like. Okay, I get what you're saying. So like, okay, so she doesn't want to get people involved, and yet she's starting a relationship with someone.
Yeah, but I mean, that is more just like she's finally accepted her feelings for somebody. Actually, I'm not even entirely sure why she was trying to separate people or if she just made up a weird philosophy for reasons we don't know about.
Just
Uh,
reasons.
yeah, I guess just reasons.
Yeah.
Eh,
Uh,
well, in either case, like basically, then we just get a giant montage of her going on missions, them dating, and him being an average citizen in Japan
yeah.
and
Uh,
financially supporting her, I guess.
Actually, on 29, I think we've just I think they mentioned something that pretty much just summed up our feelings at the moment. You're the embodiment of that vague goal. Yeah, that pretty much sums it up because it is a pretty vague goal now at the moment. Like you don't even know what this story is trying to be at this point.
Yeah, well, Skyzet seems to also not understand. So we are all in agreement right now.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know if you have any opinions on the Sacred Hero, but feel free to share if you've read this chapter, of course.
yeah. I mean,
Anyway, and then go ahead.
I mean, I know Faboyo said in the Controlled Chaos Discord that he liked it, and we had a bit of a disagreement about that. So I'd like to know what he thinks of the shots when if he actually does watch this back.
Yeah, but I have seen other people who are just really emotionally connected with these characters and their relationship, especially near the what happens near the end. But for me, it's like there's nothing. Like I think for me, the big thing was a lot of these problems they were putting on themselves, and the characters themselves aren't interesting enough to really capture my attention. So
Yeah,
everything about this relationship just felt very okay. These two are together,
yeah,
and what happens next? And the decision making. I'll put it this way, and this was going to be my tagline for the chapter. The decision making for this chapter, both on the accounts of the author and the characters in the story, are what confuses me, even if there is something to be had there. And right now, we just talked about the girls' choices. We're going to talk about the guys' choices in a quick second.
yeah. So we have Kareem basically being in the hospital after being banged up, and he's like, "Oh, thank God you're alive. You're alive." And she's like, "Oh, my work as an Earth child could get me killed at any moment, and I was at peace with that." Okay, how can you be okay? How can you be at peace with that when you've got a like woman?
I
Make
think
up
she
your
said she
mind.
was at peace with it before now. And now that she's in a relationship, she realized that it's going to be heartache for either of them if something happened.
Oh, this this woman
Yeah, I also
confuses
forgot the
me.
names, guys. That's why I'm just calling them guy and girl, even though the names are in front of our faces, because they're not even important.
Yeah,
As
it
we
seems.
learn.
Yeah, like I said in Discord, it seems like the relationship is pretty much just an afterthought if you really think about it.
I mean, I don't know if I completely agree with that. It's more just like the relationship exists to bring about the main character, and this is like an origin story. But it's almost like if you think about any other story, it's like, oh, I want to know about the main character, and like, yeah, we also want to know about their parents. But sometimes they'll give the whole how their parents got together story. That's usually in the middle of the story, and when we're like, okay, that was just a fun side detour. This is the opening chapter.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
opening chapter is okay. So you want to know how the main character's parents got together? This is how. Cool.
yeah. But you know what's gonna be? You know what's gonna be crazy? It's that if it turns out that the main character is who we think the main character is, then actually I'll wait until the end before I bring it up. Before I
Okay,
bring up what I
that's
was going to
fine.
say then. But
And
yeah,
disguise that I don't know what Gachia Kaku is, but yeah, this serialization uh, round. I mean, I think the Kane was really good if we're talking as that part of the round, but this not so much.
yeah. Um, so yeah, we have them basically talking and being like, "Oh, you're still human. You're still a human, but ever since the day we became friends, I've had one wish: no matter where she goes, let her come home with me." And making sure that wish comes true, and he decides it in the most obvious way possible. He asks her to marry him.
Yeah. So this is the other thing when I was talking about the decision making. So his thing is, why did he jump out a window? Like I don't understand what like they were trying to prove something like if we wish hard enough, then we'll always be okay. Except you wouldn't have been okay if your fiance didn't have psychic powers. I don't know what he was trying to prove here. Like
I
he
guess
really
he,
didn't have to do this because he was trying to make her feel better, but the way he went about it was to jump out a window and then ask her to marry me.
I
I'm just
guess
saying, if someone threatened to commit suicide while doing a marriage proposal, that seems like a red flag.
I guess it was more to do with the fact of what he said. No matter where she goes, let her come home to me. So I guess it was like to prove, like, hey, no matter what I do, she's always going to be there with me.
I guess so, but this seemed like a dumb way to do it. I did not like this decision making
Yeah,
by our male lead. Oh, and Disguisa, thank you for clarifying. I was seeing pictures of that new series going around. I haven't gotten into it yet because Weekly Shonen magazine's a lot harder to have natural access to. But
yeah.
I'll wait for that one to cook up a bit before I get into it.
So yeah,
Um,
um, so yeah,
And oh, sorry, one more comment. This guy said, "I don't understand why he jumped out the window as well. She was literally injured in the hospital. What if she was in too bad shape to grab him?" And that's the thing. Like in the beginning, like she was so thrown off by the marriage proposal that like she almost like didn't even reach out. We see like the things where she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do something," and then she's like, "Wait, did you say marry?" And then he's just like, "Oh, wait, no, I have to stop this." Like that was so dumb.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, um, we get them having their marriage, and then years later it becomes three of them because they have a child which they name. What was the name of the child?
Did they give a name?
Uh, I think
Uh,
I think they did. Think they do. Think they do at some point. I think it's at the end.
okay,
But
well, we'll look for it at the end. But then we find out is apparently the word of an asteroid coming to the Earth is on its way. And I will say that's another thing I kind of find interesting with this series now that we reached everything. There's not really, at least at this point, like a enemy organization or demons or monsters to fight. Like these guys are just kind of protecting the world from natural disasters and such things and accidents. So they're kind of more like everyday hero types. So, and I will say that's one of the more positive takeaways I have for the series going forward.
okay, yeah, I can definitely see that. But again, I just don't think this is going to be my thing.
That's fair. I mean, I the only thing is like the first chapter is almost not representative of what we're gonna get next. So it could turn out to be your thing, but I'll keep an eye on it if you don't feel like reading the next chapter. Because
Yeah,
I think we have a time slot open because Black Clover, I believe, is taking a break. So we thought about bringing this back for its second chapter, like we're gonna do for Akane. But
I'd be more based on what happened in Arcani. I'm more interested in the third chapter of that than the second chapter of this.
yeah, but I mean, okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
So continuing on, yeah. So I know I just said a positive thing, but we got to the asteroids, and then here's what this on page 40: the Earth will be dead and unfit for life. Kara Sawada, as an Earth child, you are our only hope.
help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Yep, cute.
But here's the thing.
Except, oh, go ahead. You go first.
No, I think I know what you're going. I think I know what you were going to say. Except she can't be the only Earth child.
Yep, thank you. I told like this is why I made a note where she said, "I'm not special. There are thousands of people who can replace me." Where are they? Where are they? If there are people who have the exact same powers as you, telekinesis and whatnot, you could have worked together to redirect an asteroid. This doesn't make any sense. And this is like, okay, so I know a lot of people apparently cried at this chapter,
I
but
did
what
not.
takes it away from me is that the situation they set up for the big sacrifice that we're going to see doesn't make sense. There was an asteroid. They had plenty of warning. There were lots of people who are apparently Earth children. We have no reason to believe that our character is any more special based on at least what she's told us. And yet she goes up there to die.
Yes. So I think we are kind of skipping ahead here, but basically it all boils down to that. It all boils down to, oh, she's the only one who can save it for some reason. We don't have any missiles that we can fire at this asteroid. We don't have any other Earth children. She's the only one. The main character's
Yeah,
like,
sorry, I just want to emphasize one other thing. I think the way they justify it on page 41 is simulations of your telekinesis suggest your maximum output could achieve this. It's like, okay, cool, sure. But I have no reason to believe that multiple people wouldn't have more telekinesis powers. Okay,
yes,
sorry, I just want to keep ranting a bit on that
yeah, you
point.
can rant as much as you want. Yeah. So we have the
Okay, can
main
I also
character.
say that the husband is just kind of brought into the secret government meeting for one
Yeah,
of
for
her
some
missions?
reason. Well, I guess it's because it's his wife now, so I guess it's kind of important he knows about this.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's like, "Oh no, no, you can't do this. There's got to be another way." Yeah, exactly. There is another way to do this. Uh, and he's like, "Oh, I'll go with you." And oh, right, so we do get the name of the child here, and Mamaru, and yeah, so Mamaru before she's like, no, no, it's not the Earth I'm protecting. It's you two. It's you two I'm protecting. Okay, so that's nice, I guess. That she's doing this
Yeah.
more for the family.
Yeah, and I do like the lines like "Have faith that I'll come back to you." I have a feeling that's going to be the big line for the series going forward, which is a nice line. And I just want to address guys that's comment. I also don't understand why the baby has to now save the world when there's apparently other Earth children on about. Can't Dad just say no? That is an interesting question because I did actually forget to bring that up. So I'm glad you brought that up, guys. That So this organization, it's they mention on all the way back on page, what page was it when they were first in the cafe together? Why is my app just not working right? Okay, when they're first in the cafe together, she mentions that this organization, besides natural disasters, the other thing they do is they work with the federal government to study and employ those powers while in top secret for the sake of the world. Okay, wait, actually, no, they did say this was top secret. I am more confused, but
Oh,
whatever. Um,
mm.
and so it seems like they go around finding these people with telekinetic abilities, these psychic people. So it almost feels like in this world, and the why she hates her life is the fact that she was born with these powers, so she's forced to do it. Because otherwise, what would stop her from just saying, "Yeah, I quit. I don't like doing this, and I don't like not getting praised." Like, the only reason, besides, I guess, more of her own self pity, would be that she doesn't have a choice, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking
But then,
she doesn't have a choice.
but then she says, uh, but then she says, maybe the Earth saw this coming. Maybe I was born for this very moment, and that's good enough. I don't resent being born an Earth child. Okay, so she actually does does like being this. So
Yeah,
that just
I mean, I kind of get that moment just because it's like, okay, but because I was born this way, I was able to meet my husband and have a child. So it's like, it's kind of one of those things where you hated something when you were young, but then you realize it's because of that you got to where you are. So that part I do understand. It's not super unique, but it's understandable.
okay. All right, fair enough. So yeah, we have basically dealing with this asteroid, getting banged up in the process, thinking about her family, especially her son, and wanting to come back to them before she realizes actually it's useless, and I know I'm going to die here. So she asks her
Yeah,
husband to
which
take care.
also help they explain these powers because she's just snapping and moving her arms, and I have no idea what she's doing.
I guess it's like Scarlet Witch from Marvel.
I guess I mean I'm not super up to date with the MCU, so I'm not sure if she starts bleeding from her hands when she keeps using her powers.
I don't remember her doing that. But yeah, we have her transfer basically, for lack of a better word, transferring her powers to her son as the meteorite is destroyed and the husband is distraught by this. As we get the captions, do you really did you really make the right choice? It's all shaped our future like this. It affects the choices we've made. If you had said let's run away, just the three of us, we'll be the family who abandoned the earth to die. I would have let that chance.
Yeah, and I just
Because I
wanted to
love
bring
you.
up that was the other point that kind of takes this away from me. Where would you have gone? This is the whole
Yeah.
Earth. This is like there's no we don't know any other planets that exist at least so far. So it's like where would you have gone? It's like we're just gonna leave the Earth to its fate. It's like cool, and then just die anyway. Like, what was the plan there? I don't know. I think it's a lot of the characters' choices and thinking that really take away from the emotional bits for me. I don't know how everyone else got past it, but maybe it's just because we think too much about these things.
Yeah, maybe it is. But yeah, the thing that was alluded to before, seemingly, I don't know if it's the son that's gonna be getting the powers, or actually this actually no, it might be the sun, because you see on the final panel, you see the sun out
Yeah,
in
it is the
front.
sun.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, because you see the sun out in the front where the husband is, and then all of a sudden the backpack's on the back.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, we see him twirling his fingers around with the rock on page 54. So
Yeah. So the thing, where was page 54? Uh, oh right, yeah. Sorry, I forgot about the last page. I thought it just ended on "I love you." I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, fair enough. So yeah, their child gets the Earth powers, and it's the one that's gonna save the future. And he has to live up to the opportunities of that. Okay, so this was the thing that I was alluding to, is that it's kind of funny how they've put on the to like open the set, like, you know how each Shonen Jump title has like picture on the front with like supposedly the main characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how they've got the woman on there when she's kind of like, dead at this point.
Yeah, which I mean, I will admit, I do usually like it when they have some unexpected deaths and stuff. It's just that in this particular case, this is just going to be a protagonist with dead mom, and we just got to see why mom was dead. Which I
Yeah,
guess is kind of what the cover page is trying to say. This is like the main character taking on mom's legacy or something. I don't know. We'll find out next chapter.
is that meant to be the son in front of the mother on like the cover? Basically, what's on the screen right now for
Yeah, I
viewers.
thought that's what that was, isn't
Oh,
it?
I thought that was the husband.
Really? Because I mean, you look at his face. I mean, his hair is kind of similar, but it's looks pretty different from like
Let
here.
me
Like if you look
let
at
me
page.
let me go. No, it is the husband because it's if you go back to the color page, look at the color page.
Okay, hang
It's
on. Uh, let's see.
it's the same hairstyle because you got like the front, like you've got like the hair at the front, and then you've got that bit of space where there's no hair.
Hmm. Well, hang on. I mean, yeah, the hair is pretty similar, but the face structure looks a bit different to me.
Hmm.
Plus, I mean, I don't know. It just, I don't know how he would work as a protagonist because it's not even his powers. I thought it was just the son took after the father kind of thing.
Hmm. Unless they've both got the powers.
But I don't. I thought this. I don't know how the manifestation of these things work. It's from birth, isn't it? So
Uh, I don't know. I'm just trying to guess here because it would be, because it
because
would be.
this last pages say that our child too must now be raised to be someone. The way he's raised, choice to make, those could sway the Earth's future, living an ordinary life for now. But I hold the fate of our world, as in he holds the next
Well,
savior of the world in his hands.
if it is the sun, then I guess we're gonna have to wait until next week to see if this is the design he actually has.
Yep, because he. I don't think we saw the husband with that kind of outfit.
Okay,
So
fair
in
enough.
that sense, I do think that what's interesting is here we just got to see a shonen protagonist parents die and give them their tragic story, but it's weird because we don't really know anything about them or what they want,
All right.
or but I guess this is how they decided to start the story with the one
Yeah,
shot prequel.
yeah. Also, hi, Singh. Oh, we haven't covered My Hero yet. We've just covered this series.
Yeah, we usually start with the
Well,
latest, but we can do MHA next if you want.
yeah. I guess we could do MHA next. But yeah, I
I don't know if
really,
there's more to say with this one.
I really don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, so takeaways. I'm going to keep reading it for now because there's, like I said, the mangaka has shown some talent to how they can do it, but the writing is kind of little all over the place. So we'll stick around. At the very least, what I do like is the idea of telekinetics who are just kind of like being everyday heroes and just the dangers that come with that. So there's some promise.
Okay, yeah, but to be honest, I'm not gonna read it. Like that one and done for me, pretty much.
Okay, then that's perfectly fine
Yeah. So now
because we
we can
can't
move
talk
on.
about everything on this channel.
Yeah,
Okay, so well, since Carl Singh asked, we're going to do MHA next.
yeah.
And of course, if you guys have series you want to talk about first, I think the only real stipulation is we like to save Dr. Stone for the end. So that's when we get crazy. uh, but yeah, we'll do MHA, which I think is a good one to do next.
Yeah,
I had some other ones I want to do early on, but MHA I think is a pretty good one to do early on
yeah,
because this was a fairly short chapter.
yeah. Fairly short, fairly simple chapter.
Yeah, so in MHA, um, what we have here is we start out with All Might basically laying out their whole plan. We're basically just seeing the dialogue happen, and he was just basically saying, "It's like, okay, we know that our antagonist, All for One, is just way too careful to come out, and we're not going to find him so easily with the search quirk." So what they've been saying is all of the stuff they've been doing, and I kind of like the way they said this. Basically, Mineta asks, so all of this was pointless? Why were we doing this? And then he's like, no, this is all part of Eraser's plan. We want the enemy to think that we're messing up and exhausted, so then they'll come out. So I'm like, okay, so you guys have been going around basically saying, oh no, all is lost, and then waiting for All for One to come out. It's like, okay, I guess that's a plan of sorts, and it works, so I can't complain. And then they also say, of course, Aoma was part of Aizawa's plan, which is not surprising because we saw it happen.
Yeah.
And then the next thing is one of our predictions came true.
Yeah.
Shinzo really did brainwash those guys. So shout out to the fan base for figuring that one out because that's actually like a really cool thing. Except I also want to point out that Horikoshi might have messed up in a way when he revealed this plan. And sorry, like I know I'm talking a lot more than I usually do.
Go ahead. You say what you want to say.
Yeah, guys, I did really want to get to the Shinzo point because I think this is what's interesting. For casual MHA fans, sorry, I'm just going to read Carlson's comment. I may need to reread the chapter again. I just read it not too long ago. Okay, that's fine, man. But we'll be talking about it all the same. So with MHA, when Shinzo comes in on page 4, and we're like, yay, Shinzo, he's here to help us. And he's the one who basically brainwashed. This is where I think the mistake happened because casual MHA fans, I think, would not have remembered this, but the hardcore fans might have. So Horikoshi wants to bring it up. And what he said was, it's like, hang on, during the team battles, you said you can't make other people speak. And I did not remember that. But then as soon as she said it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's why he has that voice modulator to have other people's sounds come out. That was the whole point of him having that thing. So he can mimic other people's voices, even if he couldn't make them say anything. And then I'm like, okay, wait, then what happened? And then he said, okay, so I was going to join the hero class after our team exercises until, the end of the world happened. And that kind of put a hold on everything. So he was training and now he can just do it. Now he can just make people say what they need to be said. Apparently, the method's more intense, but he doesn't go into detail. So I was watching Shonen and Chill, there's stuff earlier, and they basically were also like, yeah, this was kind of a dumb way to do this off screen, where it's like, okay, you can't do that thing you could do. Well, now you can do it because you were training hard off screen. That was a really dumb idea, Horikoshi.
Yeah, I guess maybe it might have worked if Aisawa mentioned, like, at least mentioned it beforehand. Like, if someone had said, "Hey, when you meant to be training Shinzo, why are you here?" And it's like, Shinzo's doing his own training right now. I need to leave him be. Like, if just
that would at least be good. But I had an even better idea how I think this could have worked perfectly. So apparently, it was already stated that he couldn't make people talk. And then, of course, we knew that he was getting accepted to the Hero Society. So if we could have just had one chapter with him training where he specifically was saying, it's like, I need to train to find a way to make people say what needs to be, what I want them to say. Like, that's one of my big weaknesses. And he figures out a method to do that. Then for us, that would have been really satisfying because we already like Shinzo and we want to see him train. We want to see him get ready for the hero course. And then when we get to this point, when people predict, oh, Shinzo probably made people say that, that would have been a very satisfying plot thread that was established all the way back at the team battle. But instead, it was all done off screen.
Yeah. I think people are now going to be realizing why people were so salty about the off screening of heroes at the end of the war arc.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't completely in agreement with people when they were saying this last part of the story felt rushed. But there are times like now where I'll be like, okay, this was kind of rushed because we should have had more Shinzo training. And I almost feel like if Horikoshi didn't remind us through Frog Girl, I'm blanking on her name right now, but if
Suyu,
thank you. If Suyu didn't remind us of it, we would not have remembered, and he could have been like, yeah, I have a way to make people do that. I would have been like, yeah, awesome, Shinzo. That was a very cool thing you did, Horikoshi. Good job. But now I'm here like, dang, Horikoshi, you did not do a good job.
Well, I'm pretty sure somebody would have brought it up eventually.
Probably people did. I haven't looked too much into the MHA discourse. I pay more attention to the Doctor Stone stuff and a few other series, but
Right.
uh, yeah. But
Yeah.
with MHA, like I feel like at least from two big MHA fans and Shonen Chill, they also agreed this was a dumb idea. And
Yeah.
then also all the classmates are just not being helpful. They're just being a cheerleading squad. But I will admit they look cute in the drawings. So
Yeah.
50-50 there.
So so yeah, we have so yeah, we cut over to where Kurogiri's being held, and okay, another one of your predictions came true as well with Momono basically being
Monoma.
asked Monoma basically being asked, "Hey, can you copy this guy's quirk for us?" And okay, and it would be pretty cool if it was actually Kurogiri finally got through and was on their side. But yeah, this
And
make
I like this better, but you know I do.
yeah, because yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm a
Um,
huge Monoma fan for those of you guys watching.
yeah,
And I'm glad he finally gets this because this is probably going to be the last thing he does. But honestly, it's a cool last thing he does.
yeah, and
And I just
again,
want to read this. Oh,
before we read the comments, and again, I really wish he was the hero that said maybe I should quit because he's had that whole personality of thinking he was superior to Class 1A, and then actually being in a war would have like been like good character development to like open up his eyes and think like, oh, this is what it's like to fight real villains.
I see what you're saying, but I always felt like Monoma had like the true noble goals of a hero. He's just kind of a jerk, and he's jealous of the attention the Class 1A had, which I thought was kind of justified considering how much celebrity status means for hero society, unfortunately. So, I mean, for me, it didn't bug me too much, but I know you had a cool theory about how we could have integrated the students into that whole hero
Yeah.
falling out, but I'm glad Monoma wasn't the one to leave because he's too awesome to
No,
leave.
no, I wouldn't say maybe I should quit. Maybe I should quit. I wouldn't say leave. I'm just like he just thinks about it, and then it could have been brought back up here and saying like, yes, sometimes this does happen, but at the same time you've got to be more stronger because that's what it means to be a hero, or something like that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I still think the line they did give him here about from his teacher, Vlad, was actually still pretty nice because it connected with his own story about feeling like a side character, which, I mean, I think was really nice because one, it ties into MHA's themes, of course, but also it just kind of like fits with his own story of coming up to be like a central character. And let me just read these comments because we said we were going to get to that.
Yeah,
I actually liked how this chapter happened after the events of 342, though its time is really random. Yeah, I also like how it came after that. It probably just feels random just because it kind of slows down what we thought was going to be about an epic clash. But it would probably be better to do this now than have this done later. And then Monoma has actually got an awesome role in this arc. Love how all the times quirk was not used for practical purposes actually became useful. Yep, same. And then Mandu, I feel bad for Aizawa. Eraser had to stay on the sidelines. Worst of all, his friends, Shikamaru Kurogiri still hasn't recognized him. And yeah, one thing I did want to say is I've heard the theory brought around it. Monoma might have, because he can copy multiple quirks at once. He has Kurogiri's quirk, but he also might be bringing Aizawa's quirk to the battlefield. Because if Aizawa can't come, they can use his eraser quirk through Monoma.
oh, that's actually true. That might actually be a good. That might actually be the saving grace.
Yep. Which I think is a great way to use Monoma's character. He's bringing in the powers that couldn't otherwise be brought. It's a very good use of his character. So hats off to Horikoshi for that.
Yeah. So yeah, getting back to the chapter properly. We cut back over to the battlefield where we see everyone coming through the portals, including several more heroes that we didn't see in the last chapter. But one thing I want to bring up here is what Vlad said. There's no such thing as a bit player. You have been and always will be a star. And that again, like I think that's just cementing in where Horikoshi is actually going to go with this. Like, just obliterating the idea of like I am the number one hero, even though Deku says at the beginning of the story, this is the story of how I became the number one hero. I feel like there's going to be more to that. It's like this is how I became the number one hero by having everyone else be the hero besides me.
That would be honestly a great way to end the story, but we'll see. I do
Yeah,
like that idea.
because it just
And then
because it's just been like hammering it in. Like I don't know if you've noticed, like just the signs have been picking up, like the fact that like the number one hero, the idea of the symbol of peace is going to be abolished because they're just all rallying together.
yeah, which I do like because I honestly thought that the symbol of peace was inherently problematic, even if it came from a good place, which I think is like one of the strongest points of MHA, where they established this is what you would think would be an ideal society, but it's inherently problematic if we do it this way, and we'll explore it through this story. So I do like that, and so I hope we do get an ending like you
Yeah,
suggested. And then Carl
yeah,
sings, finally, Dobby, man, he, okay. Yeah, well, we'll get to Dobby in a quick second. So I'll read your comment then. So we're about to get to him. So then we get all the heroes to come through, and apparently there's like a giant army. I guess so there's a lot of people coming down. We're only seeing a few people, but on page 11 we can see that there's quite a few heroes and villains coming to this. So this is like a
yes,
major battlefield.
yeah. And then we have Shigaraki and Darby talking to each other with Darby say, "You ain't the boss of me, leader," even though he kind of
That's
is.
such hilarious. You
Yeah,
ain't the boss of me, boss. It's like,
yeah,
what? I love Dobby though. I mean, I have problems with him. I feel like he's kind of overhyped to some extent and used a little bit, but he's fun. He's a very fun character.
yeah, he is. Um, and we have him obviously going for the one person that he wants to go after, his dad, but not before Shoto comes in. Which, yeah, I'm glad Shoto's here because it had to have been like Shoto and Endeavor versus Darby.
Yep, and I love how he just screams Shoto. It reminds me of when Endeavor did the same thing, and I was like, like father, like son.
Yeah, and I love how I really wish like who is it Caleb that translates My Hero?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, I really wish Caleb would have done not on my watch, Big Brother, you big jerk.
Yep. I think on Shonen Chill they also said, Todoroki, you could have gone with a better insult. And I'm just like, yeah, he could have, but like this is like a G-rated manga or
Yeah,
PG-rated manga.
yeah. Of
So,
course, if this was an R-rated manga, there'll be a lot more swearing.
oh yes. And now Carl, I can read your comment. Finally, Dobby, man, he went all crazy as soon as he saw Endeavor and the rest of his family. He's going for blood this time. Yes, yes, he is. It's going to be an awesome fight. And
Now,
also, I want to make a mention on page 14. We actually do see the kids from Class 1A coming through as well. So the students are, in fact, here.
yeah.
So I was a little wrong last time thinking they would be on different places. So my bad on that.
Which makes sense. I mean, like I said last time, some of the kids had to have had to come through. Like obviously, Todoroki, but also Suyu and Uraraka, because we've got to have that Toga rematch between them.
And I agree with that. But I mean, we're also seeing like Ojiro and whatever Sugar Crash's name
Uh,
is.
so Shoto, Sato, that was it, Sato.
Sato, yeah, cool. So it's like we're seeing a bunch of like other classmates besides like the main characters there. But whatever, it's fine. They're all here, I guess. And then yeah, Skyzed. I don't know if I'd say cringe so much as awkward, but yeah, it was a weird line.
Yeah. So yeah, we have All for One basically getting ready to launch an attack, I guess, via coordination of the villains. But this is where the plan comes into place as we see them the villains getting trapped in cages, and I believe this is All for One saying this on page 16. There must be a where we can tear those traps to shred in the blink of an eye, and yet they've gone to such. Is that him saying that?
Yeah, that's AFO saying it's like you guys are putting us in metal cages, but we can break out of these with ease. So what's your point? And of course, we already know the point. They told us last time. Basically, the strategy was to divide them up so it could be easier to take out.
Yeah,
Which, I mean, I will admit this is a cool way to do it because they did set up a lot about this fortress and the way it works. So I will admit this is a very well laid out trap, as Carl Singh had said earlier. And I think Horikoshi did a good job on that.
yeah, and it's the way like, okay, we have to have the sequential battle, so let's just do it this way.
Yep. And I did want, okay, and then like All Might is basically just talking with his police buddy how it's like this is the time we're going to take out AFO, and then I'm a little confused about some of the last bubbles because I'm trying to figure out who said this. Because he said there's last lines on page 16 says I'm pulling these strings. Everyone now, is that Monoma saying all this?
Right? Shove them in all of uh oh, I'm pulling these strings. I guess it is Monoma saying that.
Because like most of these lines are from All Might and his police buddy, but I think the last I think was Monoma, which is kind of interesting that he's saying the words "I'm pulling these strings." I'm like, what does that mean?
Oh, no, I get it. If you, because here's the thing, you have him. I'm saying, I pull these strings. Everyone now shove them in. Look what's behind the cages,
Behind the cages, the portals,
like
yeah.
the portals. Yeah, so it's obviously what I think it's mostly him saying, shove them into those portals, because he's using Korogiri's quirk still.
Yep.
So
Oh, okay.
that's what
Yeah,
he's saying.
yeah.
He's got that in place. So it's like, okay, we're gonna shove them all in so that we separate the hero villains through these portals, so that they're not all in on this roof together.
Oh, okay. So they're gonna take them. They're gonna separate them by pushing them into portals, and then the villains will break out, and then they'll have their fights.
Yeah,
Okay.
I guess that's what they're going with here.
Okay, that's a fair enough
Yeah,
strategy.
because it
And
said,
yeah,
yeah, because it says on the last page, All Might says all of this to split us up. So like how what so like if even if they're in cages, they're all still in the same places. So like the quirk's obviously doing that.
yep. Okay, so that explains that. I have a feeling that yeah, I think Monoma will still be going with somebody to then use Aizawa's quirk. Because at first, when I read this chapter, I thought, okay, so that's all Monoma's going to do. But if he does have a racer's quirk, he could jump in with somebody else to be like, I'm going to nullify maybe like AFO's quirks. So then we'll have an
Yeah.
easy time fighting them. Or
Which,
Shigaraki.
which I'm just gonna say, if that's the case, then Monoma will probably be the first target for Shigaraki or All for One.
It could be. Um, and I guess, of course, Shinzo and like all the other heroes. I guess we could do a whole predict who fights who thing,
Yeah,
but we kind of did that before, so I don't think our answers are any different. Except like now we have Monoma and Shinzo around.
yeah. I guess it'll be, well, here's the thing, like uh who would fight All for One? Like I'm guessing the heroes plus Shinzo and, well, not Shinzo, I would say Monoma would be there with the heroes as sort of like a support to kind of fight All for One.
Yeah, and maybe I would like Ayoma to be there just because he has a direct connection
Yeah,
with AFO and his story. But yeah, I think that's a good set of. We probably should have the top heroes facing him, except maybe of course Endeavor because he has to fight.
yeah. Endeavor, Todoroki versus Dobby. Although I would really like it if Ray Ray and it's there's four Todorokis, aren't there? Four Todoroki children.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
Natsu
yeah.
and
Natsu
uh,
and
the girl.
Natsu and Fubuku or something like that.
Yeah,
So
something like that. Fubuki, I think.
Fubuki. So yeah, I would like them both to be there as well, because if you see, because I think people are forgetting, like, oh yeah, this actually affects them as well. So they would probably want to be here as well to kind of put some sense into their brother.
Yeah, it's just that I don't know if they're trained to be in the battlefield. That's the only thing, but we'll
They,
see. And
I
oh,
think I think they might have been trained by Endeavor very briefly. Like he was more like back in the stages where he was just like come on, give me the perfect quirk.
Yeah, but at the same time, they don't have like hero licenses or anything.
Oh, forget about hero licenses. The world's about to end, so forget about hero licenses for the moment. Use your quirks.
Okay, I know you say that, but I also want to point out that actually in this chapter itself, let's see, what page was it? Oh, yeah, page 6. They say even though Shinzo hasn't earned his provisional hero license yet, the acting HSP president Miro had given him special permission to act during this crisis or whatever. So
Yeah,
there are
I
still some
guess.
regulations going on.
Yeah, I guess Endeavor might have gone there to him as well and say like, hey, hey, my kids, my two other kids, they want to come and try to knock some sense into Dobby himself. Like, can they come as well?
Okay, well, I mean, I'd be okay with that because Horikoshi could make it work if he wanted to. That's kind of what the
Yeah,
point
because
was
we
with that
don't.
headline.
Because here's the thing: we know Natsu's feelings about the situation. We know Shoto's feelings about the situation. We don't know Fubuki's. We don't really know Fubuki's feelings about the situation. Really, about what happened to Toya.
Hmm. No, I see what you're saying. The other thing I want to bring up, though, even though we have the setup, is that Endeavor, I think, in one chapter did have like some assignments show to him and it focused a lot of attention on him. And it could be that, okay, it's time to face my son, or he is the strongest hero they have right now. So they might also push him on to AFO just to have as much firepower as they can. But
Yeah.
so the possibility exists he won't be there, which Dobby will not like at
Well,
all.
well, here's the thing: they might not know who's gone in which cage.
I mean, I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose of the strategy because it's like they can't optimally fight if we don't know who's where. Because, like, what if, like, I don't know, Ojiro or something's like, wait, I have to go fight AFO now? How am I
Yeah.
supposed to do that?
Oh,
Like, what kind
that
of gotcha system is this?
that would be like, oh my god, Ojiro's gonna die.
Okay, I'm just kind of picking on Ojo, but even if it was my boy Mineta, I would still be scared because it's
If
like,
it
oh
was
my
meant,
god, no,
if it
Mineta, what if you die? Luke's gonna be so happy.
if it, oh please let me let her just so that I could be like, oh yes.
Wow, something about children dying really excites Luke.
Hey,
Okay, probably shouldn't say
Manette
it like that.
Manetta deserves it. Manetta deserves it.
Okay, no, he doesn't deserve death. That's going way too far.
Okay, maybe it is. Maybe
Yeah,
it
and
is.
Sky said, yes, that's funny. Well, then he's going to have to reroll. Yeah, as a gotcha player, I totally understand the sentiment.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, we even, I think that's up for MHA.
Yeah, I think that's it for MHA. So, Sky said, if you have any recommendations of what we talk about next, you're more than welcome to.
If not, we
Thank
could.
you. Thank you, Sky said.
Okay, well, Sky says on your side for that one. But whatever, I will disagree. Either way, so we could either talk about Skyza doesn't have anything else. We could talk about one of the new series like Duran Duran or Akane,
uh,
or I also want to talk about Witch Watch a little early on.
okay, we could talk about Witch Watch then. Yeah, because
Okay.
that is a pretty hefty chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I actually just wanted to ask this right off the bat. What were your thoughts on like this Witch Watch chapter?
I was like, okay, I guess Moria's a fanboy for jeans.
Yeah, I mean there is definitely that. But for me, I think the other thing is I really like this author and what he does, and frankly, like even the chapters where we're just like doing student council or the teachers or nothing to do with the main characters, the comedy just carries things so well. And the story writing that I'm like, okay, I'm cool with this. You could even just write your whole a whole different manga, and I'll be having a good time.
Yeah,
But this might be the first chapter where I'm actually going to say I don't think I really liked it, even though there are things I want to talk about for sure. This might be the first Witch Watch chapter that's kind of a miss, and this is what they decided for chapter 50 of the series. We're
yeah,
already like a year into the series, and they decided, okay, what if we just did a chapter about jeans.
All right. Also, Sky said, "Yeah, I'm caught up on Witch Watch now. That the chapter was very weird. I think I liked it, but I'm not entirely sure. I was just like, no, this can't be the whole chapter. Yeah, it's the whole chapter.
Which, okay, like well, there was a chapter about Minecraft, but the Minecraft chapter was hilarious, and it really went into like what would life be like if we were Minecraft people. This was just like, how do you take care of jeans? The
Yeah,
chapter, and I'm just
you
like,
know, you know
why?
what?
I almost feel like he forgot they were trying the chapter, and he's just like, oh no, what was I doing this week? Oh yeah, it was like getting all these new jeans. People like jeans. Kids are into jeans. That seems like
Especially denim jeans.
yeah, yes, guys. I think that's a good way to put it because it was still Shinohara's writing style, which is entertaining, but it was also like the most boring subject that
I
they have.
know, like just jeans. It's just. I'm sorry for laughing so much. It's just, but seriously, this could have been like a chapter where Nico is just like watching, I don't know, Cats and Dogs, the film, and she's just like, hey, I wonder what it'd be like to be a cat, and she turns everyone into cats, and then Nemu shows up.
Yeah, basically, instead of doing Nemu chapters, we got jeans.
We
Uh,
got jeans.
so,
So
do you mind
yeah,
if I kind of speed run through some of this stuff?
yeah, let's just
A
speed
lot of
run through it because it's literally, it's like if Hunter x Hunter was doing a jeans chapter, if Gold just decided to go out and buy some jeans.
which, brother, this is another pray for the translator and letter chapter. So that's why I also want to speed run through this. Okay, so basically, we start off the chapter by saying Moy decides to say, "Hey guys, I'm gonna do the laundry," and they're like, "Why are you getting so excited about this?" It's like because I'm gonna put my new rare set of jeans in for its second ever time wash. And I just want to say, there's a lot of things about the way you should wash jeans. And as someone who wears it, I just treat jeans like pants. I don't do anything special for them. So
Yeah,
this was just all brand new information for me.
yeah. It's like, what's so special about jeans? Although we shouldn't say that in front of Moria because basically, as soon as people are asking him about that, he gets so passionate about it that it looks like he's turning into an ogre on page 3.
Uh-huh. And apparently he does this with a lot of his passions, which is just kind of like a running thing. Coffee was the other one,
Yeah,
which
uh,
man.
yeah.
And then like Mahiru was just like, I don't even know why. Why would you do this? Really? That sounds interesting. Why did you say this?
Yeah.
And then he
Oh,
immediately got everybody
I
dragged in
loved
for a
it.
lecture.
Actually, I just want to say one thing about this moment. It's that when Mori said this immediately reminded me of the scene in Doctor Stone where they were on the boat and Yuzuriya was like, "Oh, I would really love to know how the ship operates."
Yep. And then people are like, you don't know what you did, Yuzuriya. And then she's like, no, these are my best friends. I know exactly what I'm getting
Yeah,
into.
yeah. And she spent
But she
five
actually
hours.
listens to Senku's stories. She's
Yeah,
a
she
good
spent
friend.
5 hours on electron rockets.
Yep. And she stayed up and listened. That's why Yuzuriya doesn't get enough appreciation. I'm just saying. Anyway, continuing on with the story, basically everybody gets dragged in, even though Mahiru was the only one who said anything. And then Moy just talks about the different aspects of genes, the whiskers, the honeycombs. I've never heard these words in my life.
I've never heard these. And yeah, and to anybody who's watching this, yes, he's treating genes as if they're children. Like
Yep.
you have to raise them up to a certain um fabric style for reasons.
Yep, and then Mahiru quickly is like, "I'm sorry, I don't even wear jeans. I'm bored out of my mind." But then it's like, "Why did you ask, my dude?"
Yes.
I don't even understand.
Especially when
And
he's
then and
I
then
was
the
just gonna,
weirdest. Oh, good.
yeah, I was just gonna say, especially when he keeps saying master, not that I care about it.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what next thing I was gonna say. Like, it's not even just him. Like in a bit, because like yes, Mahiru asked the first question about, oh well, why don't you just get pre-wrinkled jeans? It's just like, well, you could do that, but and he talks about the way they're done, but then he's just like, but raising your own genes to your own body size is way cooler or something. I don't know. It's weird because a lot of this feels like Kago and like his weird hipster talk, but now it's from Moy.
Yeah, yeah, and also as well, so he goes on talking about like the different style, different like ways genes can be washed, including stone wash and acid wash. And I'm just thinking like, hey, there is one way to get your stone wash, 5 meters 1 second.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but yeah. And then we go on. The next thing is I talked about Mahiro just asking stuff, even though he's not interested. But then we have Kanash Khan asking another question. I'm like, dude, why?
Why? What?
I
What?
thought you guys, these guys are like, I don't like being here. I don't like listening to this. But they also ask questions because the author wants to move things
I get.
along.
I guess it's because Mori is just getting. I guess it's because Mori's passion for genes is just getting to them. Like even though they don't want to ask him, they want to see how far he's gonna be an otaku for genes.
Yeah, I guess, but they do slowly fall into passion. That's what's funny because, like, then he points out to Wolf after answering Khan's question. It's like, look at this scrape I got from our fight, and I'm like, okay, that was the first interesting thing you said this whole time, because at least that one's like, okay, that's cool that you want to keep the genes that you fought with him in, and how even Kago is like inspired by it because it's like that's the fight we became friends.
Yeah,
But
and
so that one I get. Everything else makes no sense. But then
yeah,
everybody else, the other guys are like, I want my own genes and I want to raise them too. And Nico's like, why? Am I
yeah,
surrounded by guys?
yeah. Nico, best face for the week.
Yeah, I saw you post that in Discord. And I'm just saying, Nico, this wouldn't have happened if you just invited Nemu to live with you.
Yes, get Nemu in the house already.
It's not like she doesn't want it. She's literally advertised for it before.
Sky said, "Question: Do you want Nemu in the house?" That
Oh, yeah,
sounds like
that's true. Now that you're
that
counting.
sounds like a spin-off for something. Nemu in the house.
I mean, yeah, you just did Corey in the house, but with which was already a spin-off, but replaced the name. That's why. And yes, Skyzet also agrees that we need Nemu.
We need Nemu badly. In case you don't know, Sky said Nemu's my favorite character in Witch Watch. Um, but yeah, so
So,
they all go out buy jeans, and not Nemu, Nico is saying, I still can't say that I understand it, but but boy, there's a lot of work involved in denim. Yeah, no, Nico, you're being the audience here.
yep. And I also still find it kind of weird that after like you just wash jeans like a few times a year. Like he's talking about like this process needing to be worn for months, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not wearing my pants for months without washing them. That's just weird. And then like Nico is just like, oh, I'm going to use a spell on you, and then I'm just like, Nico, why do you never learn to
Yeah,
not do these things? And
yeah.
then she's like, oh, come on, don't be that way. Even as they're saying, no, don't do this, man.
And then we get
Nico needs to like learn her lesson on this at some point.
she's. I don't think she's ever going to learn a lesson.
Yeah, I feel like it's just a character growth that made it happen. But anyway, so then we get something interesting that I did want to talk about, and that is the doppelganger spell. This is probably one of the coolest spells we've had in a while because it's literally
Yeah,
just a replica that I guess it basically has like limitless energy because she asked him to do 1 billion squats in Moy's jeans to help fit them in his place. And what's also hilarious is there's kind of very mixed messages on this doppelganger. Like on one hand, it feels like it's a robot that you can just command to do simple tasks like a Meeseeks. But then also like a Meeseeks, this thing might have emotions attached to it because Nico also said, oh, you can take a break when you're tired. And I'm just like, okay, but wait, so does it have feelings or not? I'm very confused about this. My favorite line from this chapter is actually, uh, didn't you say they have no on page 13? Didn't you say you have no personality or they have no personality? Yeah, we don't need any corporations with questionable business practices finding out about the spell. And I'm like, yeah, this is the ultimate capitalism spell that we can just make doppelgangers and just have them do unlimited work.
well, this begs the question: can she make double gangers of bills like yen bills?
Also true, as far as I understood, the spell is meant for living things, but it could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was like one of the spells I really want to talk about because I think it'll be used much later, and because this thing is like it just keeps going. It's just been squatting this entire time.
Yeah, well
It,
into the night.
and it like copies Moy's strength and stamina, and he's powerful. So if they have like another like Moy, it's almost like Nico. Why didn't you use this spell earlier? We could have won so many fights if you just used this.
Yes, definitely. But then the but then Double Geiger rips the jeans, and Maury's freaking out by this. But he's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Rips in Demon are a badge of honor. I'll just repair them later. It'll still make for a good memory." But no, here's the thing. That's still a fashion trend, Moria. I thought you, the gene expert, would know about that. Unless you have something
Yeah,
against ripped jeans.
yep. I mean that is also true. So, but even Skies, that was like it hurt me to see the jeans get ripped. Yeah, personally, I don't really like seeing my clothes get torn, but at the same time, I'm not one of those people who really replace it if they get damaged. I'll keep the clothes on for a good while until like I don't know, my parents point it out or something.
Yeah. Um. So then we have Mario saying, hey, I'm gonna bring out an old
Oh,
pair of
sorry.
my dad."
Right before this,
Okay, go on.
there's one more point I want to bring up. So they do talk about how Nico does have like a repair spell, which we saw at the very first chapter of this story. And Keiko asks, "Hey, how about you use that?" And then she's like, "Well, no, I can't because there's a super rare pair of jeans, and Moy values it so much. There's nothing I have that could possibly replace it." Okay, now you can go.
Yeah. So then we have Maria basically saying, I've got my a pair of my dad's old jeans. Let's bring them out." And they fit the same size as Moria. And Nico's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, one of my outfits should be enough to sacrifice this." So basically, sacrificing one of her outfits to repair these jeans, and then it turns out that these are actually the most valuable jeans ever for some reason.
Yep, and the reason I read out that other panel before is because of what Keiko says here. Uh, that Nico didn't recognize his value was a stroke of good luck too, which begs a certain question. Does Nico's recovery spell only change depending on her perception of something's value? Because we learned that these jeans are worth like 1,000,000 yen after they're repaired. So Nico's outfits, there's no way they cost that much. So in other words, she repaired something that she didn't realize was worth a lot. Does that mean as long as Nico isn't aware of how valuable something is, she can basically fix anything as long as you tell her, nah, this is just a piece of junk or a counterfeit or something, and it'll work?
I'm
I'm just saying
guessing.
that's like a good loophole that they might have accidentally brought up that I just wanted to bring up in our discussion because that's probably an important point.
I'm guessing. But yeah, we have everyone saying like, "Oh yeah, these jeans they're worth 1 million. Sell them more. Yeah, we can make a fortune out of this." And he's like, "Nope, I'm keeping them because I have not because this is the first time I've ever had such a valuable pair of jeans."
Yep, and also he just looks so adorable in that panel. Yes, there's
Yeah,
a lot of cute Moy shots like in this chapter. I will admit that's one of the positives.
yeah, and I've got to admit, like compared to what he was like at the beginning, like just like stoic character, he's pretty much come out of his shell in recent chapters.
Yep, and I will agree with that. And so I guess that while there are positive elements to this chapter, this is I would still argue my least favorite chapter I think of the story so far, which
Yeah.
kind of is unfortunate for chapter 50. But
Oh, hey, Sky said Nemu. Yeah, we're both Nemu fans. Yay.
yep, and I think that's basically the chapter. Basically, Moi's just going to raise up both these genes, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to get this chapter over with pretty soon because there was nothing else to really talk about. Because
Okay, fair
this
enough.
is why we can't make predictions in which one. Because like sometimes they'll write a whole other manga, and sometimes they'll talk about genes. We maybe we'll get plot next time. I don't know. Maybe next time we learn a huge dark twist on the characters, or we're going to get another continuation of that one manga series.
Yeah, I don't want another continuation of that manga series.
I don't know. It was pretty
Un-
fun. I wouldn't mind if we get
unless
another one.
unless it's the first chapter. If it's the first chapter, then okay.
Oh, because you just found it too confusing. He was
Yeah,
in the middle. I mean, I kind of enjoyed that because it was part of the appeal of we're starting in what's like to start in the middle of a manga series, and it adds to the confusion of an already confusing series. But I don't know. That's just me.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, so that's about it for Witch Watch. We don't know what's going to happen. It could literally be anything.
yeah. It can literally be anything. So, uh, Sky said, if you have any recommendations,
You didn't
uh,
really like Uran Mirage, apparently. It's okay. I'll be the one Uran Mirage fan. Just because I
yeah,
feel like Shinohara can write any sort of series and I'll be behind it.
uh,
And also, it
so
was like purposefully bad. I think I want to point that out because that series was like honestly like in canon, poorly written, but it got such a fan following because the author would canonize like fan fictions and whatnot. So
yeah.
it's kind of funny.
So Sky said, which series do you want us to tackle next?
And again, if he doesn't have any suggestions, because I think he said he didn't really care before, then we could just do Akane. I think because Akane I think is a good one to do.
Okay, we'll do a Carney. Uh,
It just made me think of Seraph of the End. It did give me Seraph of the End vibes, but I love Seraph of the End, so that's why I liked it. I'm actually actively reading Seraph of the End still.
yeah. So we can do a Carney. So
Yep,
yeah,
I'll
let
just
me
make
get
a
it up.
note of the time. Yeah, so like Luke said, we don't normally bring up like or we plan on bringing up like the first chapter of these new series and then bring him back if we feel like reviewing them because we already have a bunch of series. But in this case, Ayashimon's off this week, so we decided we would use this Kane as a fill-in because we really liked the first chapter, and I thought the second chapter was a pretty decent follow-up.
Yeah, and next week, My Hero's on break.
No, Black Clover,
Oh,
I
Black
think.
Clover. It's either Black Clover or My Hero. It's one of the two.
Oh
Um,
yeah, and yeah, Sky's seems like he doesn't really care what we order we do. We'll probably just save Undead Unluck and Ayakashi near the end. Um,
okay.
and yeah, sorry, man. I understand if you're caught up with Seraph of the End, you don't like it because the story is so confusing after like things from the anime. It's like very hard to follow, but at the same time, it's just the aesthetic is just too perfect for me personally. So that's why I really like Seraph, even though there's so many problems. The fan base is garbage. Yeah, but so I don't blame you for that, even though I do have it up there as my top, one of my top series.
Okay. That's fair. I've not read it yet, so I can't really comment. But
I would say
anyway,
just watch the anime, honestly, if you ever
okay.
interested.
I'll
By which
definitely
studio?
consider it. I'll definitely consider it. But yeah, Akani Banishi. So yeah, basically, I just want to mention something from last time. Yeah, it does reveal that Akani in the first chapter was in grade 5. It does say it, so she was 10 years old. So yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah,
six.
cool.
Because it does say in this chapter that she's approaching 17. So yeah, it she was 10 years old because this takes place 6 years later. This chapter.
Yep. Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that was
Oh,
my phone.
it's all right. So yeah, we have
Uh,
a new character called Gariku Arakawa, which I assume now the last name is just like a title from the organization that trains the people to be Rakugos.
yeah, I think so. I think it's like a family name for the stage. Like it's almost like a clan name.
Yeah,
But basically, that's not the real name. It's just performances. But we'll probably refer to a lot of these guys by their stage names because it's going to be a lot easier.
yeah,
So Guriko is basically tailing the master we met last time, is Shiguma.
yeah,
So he's just tailing him because he's been hearing some nasty rumors. And apparently, the rumor is, he's seeing some young girl, and he's just like, what? Nah, that's not something my master would do. And that's kind of fair. We met Shiguma. We know he's a pretty good guy. So it doesn't
yeah,
seem like he's the kind of guy who would do something like that. But he was also very worried because I'm a little confused by this point, so maybe we can talk about it. But apparently, the Arikawa school has gained a lot of influence after the huge expulsion incident, and because of that, he is afraid that if this rumor gets out of control and has any truth to it, it could kind of spell doom for Rakugo as a whole, as well as their school. So he needs to verify it for himself. Now, that being
Well,
said, do you know why the expulsion would cause there to be an increase in influence? I
I
was a little
guess
confused at that point.
I guess it's because of the expulsion itself, because I feel like a lot of people were like, uh, because I feel like it's going to be revealed that a lot of people were sort of like in the audience were so moved by Shinta's performance last in the last chapter on that day, and just about everyone else's, that I feel like the injustice of the expulsion was what caused it.
Hmm. Okay, it just gained. Huh. That kind of makes me a little worried because we're still not sure. I'm still not sure why he did the whole expulsion thing. We'll probably learn that way later. But I hope he didn't just do it just to help gain some influence, because
I
that
get
would be garbage.
I guess he didn't anticipate that.
No, I
That
hope so, because I hope
thing,
that's not intentional.
and I
I
feel,
already hate this guy. I don't want to hate him more.
yeah, and I feel like his reasoning for it was that he probably saw them as a threat to him as a performer.
Mm, maybe that's also very petty, but whatever. That's a different thing.
Yeah,
Anyways, guys, that I only watched the first season of the anime. Amazing first episode, but straight garbage afterwards. You know, as the only saving grace, best girl. Also, sorry if I sound aggressive. Nah, man, you're not that aggressive. Trust me. I've met with the Seraph of the fan base. They are like way more toxic than anything you've said. So no worries there. And yeah, I can see the first episode. I still use the first episode of that series as a good example of a way to start an anime. But I will definitely agree with you that the next couple episodes after that is very unorganized with what the story wanted to do and the direction it took. But I think after the couple episodes, it gets back on track, at least in my opinion.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a
yeah.
series that was figuring itself out, like even
Okay,
to this point in the story. But yeah, so he's tailing Shiguma to figure out if there's any truth to the rumor. It's basically where we're at. And they get to a karaoke place where he goes into a room, and then um, Gari, Gar,
Akane.
no, not
Oh,
Akane, the
oh,
guy,
oh, oh, Garu,
Garuko. Yeah,
Garuku.
Garuko finds Akane in the room, which of course he doesn't know who Akane is like we do. So when we see this, we're like, oh, okay, it's fine. He's just seeing Akane and probably giving him tips on Rakugo. But he's just like, oh my god, my master is seeing an underage girl. What do I do?
Yeah, but then we actually,
That was
but then
hilarious to me.
I found that pretty hilarious as well. But then we actually see her performing the Rakugo, and he's like, "Oh, what is this? Some kind of role play?" Oh, he's deadly serious, just like when he's judging a performance. So this way, it actually clicks to him like this might be Rakugo, and she's getting lessons from him. Um, and he's like questioning like, what is this girl? She's doing it so seriously, but why in a karaoke room? And then he's like, oh crap, she might actually be really good at this. And then obviously he gets caught for stalking around, because obviously that happens, and he gets thrown into the room, and they're both there like, what are you doing here? And he tries to play it off as like, oh yeah, I've got the wrong room, and he's like, no, you're not fooling anyone here. Why are you making a fool of yourself?
Yep. And it was, yeah, like I said, I think I really like the comedy in the series because this chapter didn't have too much plot, but I think it still shows that even a simple chapter like this, which is more of a transitionary chapter in my mind, it's still super hilarious.
Yeah, yeah, and I love the fact I love the I love the line that Akane says like, it's your fault for sneaking around in the first place. I mean, it totally could look like a shady relationship. Isn't it kind of better this way, now that you know the now that you know that there are rumors about us? And then
Yep. And I mean, she has a point.
yeah, yeah, she does have a point. Like, yeah, it's pretty shady what you were doing, just sneaking around.
Yep. And guys, I don't know. I just thought all the characters apart from Chanel were trash and annoying. not the worst thing I've seen. It's good aspects, but not enough to keep me invested. And yeah, that is fair enough. I will admit, like a lot of the characters don't get like properly done for a while, so I can understand that. But I still think I really enjoyed the cast myself. But that's just me. Anyway, sorry, we're talking a lot about Seraph at the end in this
It's
session.
fine. It's fine. Yeah.
I do appreciate like talking to someone about it though, because it is a series I really enjoy.
Okay.
But let's see. What I do like about the Rakugo performance, I want to say, is that the speech bubbles all have like very unique styles to help you differentiate the characters as well, which I think is a nice touch.
Yeah, yeah, I do as well. Oh yeah, yeah, because it's like I'm afraid of spiders. Spiders? A man your age afraid of spiders? Yeah. So yeah, that was a nice touch as well. And yeah, we have get oh how are we gonna pronounce his name? Like what is his name? Guriko,
Guri, yeah,
Guriku.
Guriko. Yeah, we'll get it
So he's
eventually.
like, oh, what? Who do you think you're sassing, little girl? Like, I love Akani's expression there. It's like, huh, little girl?
Yep.
Yeah, and then this is where we get like the formal introduction of her being Shinta's daughter, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was the guy that got expelled 6 years ago," and we learn that Akani's been training for 6 years, but she hasn't been given her full first performance yet, and she's going to be turning 17 soon. But she still wants to become a basically what her father failed to become, and she wants to basically prove to everyone that her dad's craft was just the most amazing thing ever. Because I feel like after that all got out, is that we're probably going to get a flashback to when she was at school, and that bully that we saw in the first chapter is going to be bullying her even more, like saying like, "Haha, we found out your dad got expelled from that school. What a waste of space," or something like that.
Yep. And then we basically get like a phone call. I think that comes up next.
Yeah.
Um, oh wait, no, sorry,
No, the
that's a little
phone.
later.
That's a
My
little
bad.
later. So yeah, we first get the flashback of Akane be basically Shiguto. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I think so.
Yeah. So basically asking him to be trained in the school, and 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 we basically find out what happened to her father after this, where it's saying like after he got this, he quit being a Rokugo, and he went to join a company that sells concrete. Okay, that's how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like another job. I don't understand what his qualifications were for that or what it needed, but I think this was an interesting take because we were wondering what would happen to this guy. I mean, you thought he was kind of dead for one point when we were reviewing last chapter, but he's actually getting earning more money and people are happy for him. But of course, Kane kind of hates this because they're kind of inadvertently making fun of his dreams and ambitions that he's been working on for years. Because it's almost like by giving up on them, he has more value in their eyes. Because remember, this is the same guy who was called worthless by students, parents, and whatnot. So now they're actually treating him with more respect since he gave up on his dream, which Akane did not like.
Yeah, and so now she's going to be taking on the dream herself, to just basically to prove to everyone that they were wrong about her dad. Which I like the fact that that's the goal of her. Like it's a revenge goal, but done in sort of like a unique way that you don't normally see. Because normally it's like, oh, the parent died, so I'm gonna go and find the person who did it, and get and basically put them in the place and get revenge for my father. But I like the fact that she's taken on the mantle that her father sort of quitted, and taken on that burden of like maybe she won't make enough money to in this profession, but she's going to try her best and show and prove to not only the world, but I think to herself, that her father was truly a great Rakugo.
Yep, and I would agree with that because in a way, his stage name, they did say he was killed off. So I think it's a very interesting parallel for a vengeance story as well. It's just kind of weird to me that I we still don't know why. Like, if I was in her position, we don't know why he was expelled. It was like very unclear. So it's like, okay, I know you want to avenge him and whatnot, and you have this goal in mind, but like, are you don't know what caused your dad to get expelled. So it's like you don't know what he did that you shouldn't do. So that's the only thing. I'm
Mm,
still a little confused on that one point. So hopefully we figure that out soon. So she
hopefully, but I'm gonna go with my idea of like he didn't do anything wrong. It's just like the guy saw him as such a threat, and he thought like, oh, maybe he might surpass me. Maybe it's like surpass me. I can't have that happening.
Yeah, and I could see that. It's just that what stops him from doing that again? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, good point. But then again, I think at some point it's going to be revealed like he's not the end all be all of this whole situation, and there might be people higher up than him to keep him in check.
Hopefully, because like that's my only worry about this plan. But other than that, we finally get to that phone call I was saying earlier, where apparently there's an opening for a performance, and so Shiguma decides, okay, Akane, why don't you go up on stage and do a performance? And our guy Giriko, which I guess he's just going to be, I guess the character in the story who makes commentary on everything. I think that's going to be his role. I don't see him having major character arcs or something, at least at this point.
Yeah.
He
Well,
points out that the Rakugo Cafe that she's going to has like an audience that's very used to Rakugo, and so a newbie going up there is going to get eaten alive. So this will be, I think, a really good chapter that's we're going to have next because she's very good and talented. That's been established the last couple chapters, but performing in front of people. Oh, actually, you could probably talk more about that.
yeah, I was going to talk about that because she seems way too cocky at this point, which makes me think that it's going to be a disaster because uh, speaking as a performer myself, it's one thing to actually be like in a room surrounded by people that are on your side and supportive of you. It's a totally different thing when you're because I've been in situations where there have been bad audiences and like bad audiences in the sense of like they'll just be on their phone, not really paying attention to anything, no matter what you do, and they're just going to be like, oh, why are we even here? Let's just go get out of there. And I feel like that's probably going to come up at this point. Yes, she's incredibly talented, but at the same time, there's always going to be someone out there that's just not going to get it. And that's probably going to hinder her performance. Maybe she'll um, break character, be like, hey, why are you on your phone? Pay attention. And that's something you should not do as a performer. You should be like, okay, they're on the phone. What can I do to get them paying attention?
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. And I think you'll probably have a lot to say with this manga series if we decide to continue talking about it, because we'll probably do this again for next week. And I think
Yeah,
after three chapters, we'll have a good idea if we want to keep going with it for the
yeah.
show. I mean, obviously, I think we're both going to be reading it otherwise,
The
but for here.
the problem is that do we continue it or do we just wait until something ends first before we add it to
Oh,
the
you like Dr. Stone? I mean, yeah,
yeah
that's well, yeah, that's true. We also, I mean, now that we have a limited certain number we decided on, and also usually something goes on break. To be honest, though,
yeah so
we might
may
still be fine no matter what.
yeah
But
it might
we'll talk about that after next week then.
yeah
Those
we will
chapters in.
yeah so yeah that was pretty much all I had to say about Akane. Very solid follow up to the last chapter, and I really looking forward to this performance.
Yep, and I'm really liking this protagonist we have. Her motivations, her personality, and the comedy is really good. So everything is very promising for this series. So hopefully it's received well. Because like what I was saying before with Earthchild, like from what I saw, the people posted in a different Discord server that it was like trending, I guess, in Japan, and on Reddit it was being very well talked about. So that series set itself up well. This series, I think, is also fairly as well talked about, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it's going to survive or not, just because it's so different
Yeah,
as a
I
story,
feel
except for, of course, Act Age, which existed before it.
yeah, I feel like this series will survive because it's very Japanese centric. But the thing is, with the difference between this and Elusive Samurai is, I feel like Elusive Samurai mainly appeals to like more historical fanatics. I feel like this series in Japan will appeal to more of the wide masses.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
when, because we still
Um,
don't know if like Ayashima and Duran are safe yet.
Yeah. Also, Sky said it's because that famous Rakugo thought Shinta's Rakugo style was a disgrace. No, I don't think he. I don't think he did think it was a disgrace. I think that was just a cover up. I think he was more threatened by it rather than it being a disgrace. Sky said that's my opinion of why he just decided to expel him. Because if he had the power to do that and he was like threatened by someone, why wouldn't he do that?
Yeah. Well, we'll probably figure out those motivations way later. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. So
so
yeah,
that was Akane.
yeah. And
Should we then move on to Duran?
yeah, we can move on to Duran Duran.
Okay. I think this is another pretty straightforward chapter to discuss.
So yeah, pretty again, pretty predictable, but overall enjoyable. Initial impressions of this chapter.
Yeah, it's literally what I thought it was going to be. And like the few times where I thought something was going to be unexpected, it wasn't. So, because we start out with Dora just kind of waking up in like a hospital bed, and then like almost immediately, like we get Jinchio just apologizing to him, and it's like, man, her character, it already developed quite a bit just right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. More so than half the cast in Spy X Family, just from this one panel.
Yep. And sorry, Skyzer just made a quick thing. He said, this isn't Rakugo or something along those lines. Yeah, I think in the last chapter, what he said was,
Yeah, he said that this isn't Rokugo, but no, again, I feel like he's just saying that. I don't think he actually means it. That's
he
one.
said,
That's one
whatever
thing.
that was, it was not Shiba Hama, which I guess is the story. So yeah, it could be that he didn't like the performance, but I don't know. Luke's theory also kind of checks out.
Yeah.
So we don't know yet.
So yeah, we have Jinchio and apologizing to Dora, and it's revealed that he's been asleep for 5 days. So yeah, been asleep for nearly a week, and Jinchio's feeling sorry that she's not strong enough, and he's like, "Oh, what are you talking about? I think I've messed my memories up. Don't apologize for something I don't remember. It's just awkward and quit acting serious." And of course, Jinchio is thinking immediately like, "Oh, he's probably just doing this to toy with me." And yeah, pretty much confirms it right away. Like, yeah, he totally remembers what happened.
Except a little later. Um, well, actually, on page 5, they mention okay, his memory is actually spotty. So I actually do wonder if Dora like did have some memory loss or not. 'Cause I just wanted to point out that if it comes up later,
Oh
like if
yeah,
there's something he like forgets about or some. Oh, one of the humanoid Mononoke, I forgot his name. We only met him once. Hishe or something like that. That guy, his attacks maybe messes with people's memories. I don't know.
maybe.
Something to just keep in mind in case the author just like included like a throwaway joke to kind of hint to that. But either way, it's like what I like about Junchio here is like she talks about like her kohai and how she made an antidote to the poison. She's like, yeah, my kohai is incredible, not pathetic like me. And it's like, wow, you are having so much self hatred right now. It is like
Yeah,
crazy. Like it, it's kind of funny just how it contrasts with what she was like before. But it's like, man, she really hates herself. And Dora's not too happy with himself either because he found out like several people died. Apparently at 26, like
Tw-
75.
yeah, which is quite a substantial amount, especially for someone like Dora. Kind of the first, I would say, the first time they've actually failed at this point.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's not like they had too many fights.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, because we're only 11 chapters in. So we have Dora questioning where Kusanagi is, and where he is at this point, and it's revealed that they're in the Isagani forces headquarters in Musha Shinu Kuni Kamiyu.
Yeah, we're probably just gonna just call this the HQ or something for
Yeah,
now
the
because there's
HQ.
way too many words.
Yeah.
So I did want to say that yeah, it. I like how Ayashiman and Duran Duran are both having these early losses to the characters because it helps like set that okay they have a long way to go still. And the second thing is I'm this city drawing. I don't know. It looks a little too blocky for my taste. I don't know. I just want to point that out too. Like it's not bad, but I'm not too fan of the style.
Yeah, yeah, I can see what you mean, but I wasn't really paying attention to it, so
Yeah, it's not like the biggest deal. I just wanted to point out because it's something when I look switch pages, I'm like, that doesn't look too great, but whatever. It's not a big
whatever.
deal.
Yeah. So we cut over uh to Yuji basically guarding Kusanagi and with the top heads, the executives, and he's like, and they're like, oh, so a humanoid Mononosuke materialized in some small town. It's been 2 years since we've seen one of them. Oh,
Which
so you
means
want to?
2 years ago something happened. So
Yeah, which we're probably going to find out later on. Um, yeah, and we have Uji giving his like testimony of Kusanagi collaborating with Dora to defeat there's his name, Hanyo Giyuki.
we'll just call you Hanya. That's good enough.
Hanya, and he mentions like, oh, they're not on my level, but they might be useful. And of course, these executives behaving like Central 46 in Bleach of like just, oh, you can't be serious about this. This is unbelievable. How can you believe something so stupid? And then we find out that the founding member of the Isagani Force is actually Chichiyo's grandfather.
Yep.
You
Which gives us a whole new perspective on her character, which is nice.
Yeah, because I feel like at this point that makes sense of like why she's like having so much self doubt at this point because she's back at HQ and in the presence of her grandfather, who's probably like a renowned hero for dealing with Mononoke.
Yep. And additionally, it says he's not just like a battalion commander, but also a founding member, which I guess begs the question of this organization hasn't been around for that long. Um, it's because if you're a founding member only like 3 generations ago, that means like the Mononoke weren't a problem until then, or they just didn't get organized till then. So it's still a fairly new organization, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool thing. And also, I love the fact that his name is Yusei. So now we have two series in Shonen Jump that have a character called Yusei. This series and Undead Unluck.
So yeah, I'll probably just call him. I'll probably just refer to him as the grandfather or something because I'm not
Yeah,
sure if I remember
yeah,
that.
just
But
to
yeah, you
avoid confusion.
yeah. And so you say it just asked Yuji. It's like okay, sure, that's what my granddaughter says, but what do you think, Yuji? And then Yuji was like, well, it's the first time I've seen this happen, but the supernatural energy isn't filled with bloodlust, so he could probably help us out. But it's just a hunch. And of course, the like you said, these guys are like Central 46, saying like, no, we can't trust this. We must kill what we this Kusanagi or whatever. And then I love Yuji's comeback where it's like, okay, well, who should we listen to? The people behind the desks in suits drinking
Yes.
or the guy who's actually on the battlefield and knows what he's talking about.
Yes.
Kind of find that funny, just because, like, Yusai is right there with his battle scars, and I'm just like, that's a good point. Like, the one person not disagreeing with him is also probably a battle veteran. So
Yeah.
I think we shouldn't listen to you people.
Yeah. Also, as well, it does beg the question: do these guys actually know that Yuji is working with Mononoke himself?
I mean, they kind of. I don't know if I want to bring up the chapter, but I feel like it's like we were talking about that last time, how it almost feels like a standard practice
But
for the Mononoke to be for like the samurai officers to have that. But I think the reason Kusanagi is a bit different is because maybe they have to kill the Mononoke and then entrap it in the sword or something. That's my
maybe,
current thought.
maybe because then that line, whoever heard of teaming up with Mononoke, that if that's the case, if that's not the case, then that line just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I mean, like I was saying last time, I thought that the fact that they use Mononoke in their swords was going to be a pro point in Yuji's, or sorry, not Yuji's, Kusanagi's favor because they already do it themselves. But yeah, we just brought up the last chapter. He released the power of the Mononoke sealed in his sword, a special sword technique only a samurai officer can use. So yeah, I don't. Maybe yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if they're just dead already, and that's the whole thing. Like it's like okay, you can use Mononoke powers, but only after they're dead. Kind of like are you reading Kaiju number 8?
No.
Okay, well in Kaiju number 8, they killed Kaiju, and then they used their dead body parts to make weapons and stuff.
Okay. All right.
So that's how I'm thinking. The other point I wanted to bring up here is that this argument. Do you read World Trigger at all?
Oh no, I don't.
Okay, so
Sorry.
no, that's not a problem. But with World Trigger, this back and forth between Yuji and like the heads of Isanagi forces reminds me of World Trigger when the equivalent character Jin, who's like the top of the verse there, is like in discussions with the heads of their organization, Border, and saying like, okay, I know we fight off these alien monsters they call neighbors, but this one neighbor we met, to the MC of the story, he seems cool. Now you guys need to bring him on, and I know you don't like me, but that doesn't matter. I'm the best there is, and my word means something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yes,
Yeah.
guys, that I do mean Goat Triggers. That was my bad. I said this incorrectly. Yeah, but it's like a really good science fiction story,
Okay. All right.
but it's
So
very slow. I'll tell you that if you're ever interested. It's great for a binge, but it's when you get caught up on the monthlies, it's quite a wait.
yeah, especially since I know it does do a few hiatuses as well.
It had like one really big hiatus, which unfortunately hurt its popularity a lot. But after that, I think it's on a good track. I don't think we've missed chapters in a while.
Okay. All right.
And yes, guys, that I will agree. It's like it's one of the best power systems manga. I'd still give that to Hunter x Hunter Nen myself, as basic as that might sound, but it's World Trigger's power system is absolutely up there. But yeah, I do think the setting is just very close to what Jin did in that setting when he wanted a Yuma to join up, and he gave up his black trigger to be like, "Hey, I'm giving this up so you can take me seriously when I say we have to bring these guys on." And yeah, its popularity is incredible in Japan. I do have seen the sales.
Okay.
It,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you can go on.
Yeah. So we have one of the people saying like, "Oh, what if this leads to disaster? It'll be on your head." And he's like, "Yeah, I know that, but if I'm being held responsible for failure," I love this comeback as well because he's saying like, "Oh, if I'm responsible for failure, then I want recognition for the success when it does happen."
And that sounds like such a Jinchio line.
Jinchio, I thought it was Yuji that was the one
Oh
who
yeah,
was.
no, but I'm saying that line sounded a lot like what Jinchio would say if she was her normal self, where it's like,
All
hey,
right.
if I get successful on this, I need those promotions and bonuses.
Okay, fair enough.
Because
Yeah,
that's kind
and
of how
then
she was in the beginning.
yeah, I guess the author kind of didn't like that about her, so he transferred the personality over to Yuji.
I'm not too sure. That's a good question. Also, and Sky said, yeah, I agree. It's like so much dialogue, but it's hilarious because the last two chapters was not all the current arc in World Trigger. Sorry to go on this tangent. Is literally just the characters just talking, strategizing, and not even about big battle, but like hypothetical circumstances. And it's like some of the best stuff I've read them for the month. It's awesome. But yeah, that's enough World Trigger gushing.
Okay. All right. So then we have Dora bursting into the room, and he's like, "Oh, Kusanagi, um, you're okay. I mean, you're all banged up, but I'm so glad you're okay." And Kusanagi's like, "You too, Dora," and the others are like, "Hey, who's this?" And Yuji gets them up to speed, like, "Oh, this is the guy who defeated Hanya. I gave him authorization because his testimony is relevant to the process," which he's obviously lying about because it says lie. And they're all like, "How dare you? I don't care who reports it. Collaborating with Mononoke is pure nonsense, even though they're technically doing it still."
Yeah,
And
I almost wonder if the author took that into account or if it's just they killed him. That better be explained because that's
but
just kind of the
technically,
weirdest thing.
even though they kill them, they're still collaborating with them because they still need their powers.
Yeah, but there's a difference in collaboration, like working with the demon versus like taking its powers for your own. I think that's
Okay,
distinct enough. But anyway,
okay, fair
and
enough.
then what's funny is like then Dora said, "Sorry, that's a lie,"
Yeah,
and that kind of confused me for a quick second. I was not sure where he was going with that, but then he says like, "Oh no, I didn't do anything. It was all Kusanagi. He's like a superhero, Mononoke," and I'm just like, "This is the worst lie ever."
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because Kusanagi like, "Oh, that's not true. You're lying. You're the hero. No, you're the hero. No, you're the hero." And
He's like,
and
"I don't care anymore." It's like you ruined Operation Protect Kusanagi,
yeah,
and then Operation.
yeah. And then you say's like, "Oh, sacrificing your own interest for each other. That's young people reminds me of my Shun days." So it's like, oh, so this actually begs the question. That line gets me thinking, like, was is he in collaborations with Mononoke in secret himself?
Because I do wonder if there are other people like Kusanagi who are like friendly. So I don't want to rule that out. But at the very least, something about his youth is important in terms of like sticking up for each other. So I hope we get more backstory on Jinchio's grandpa, Yusa.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
Uh,
Skies that brings up a good point, Luke. It's like that what like killing off a Mononoke and using it is calling that collaboration is like saying slavery is collaboration.
no. Oh. Not gonna comment on that. Let's just move on.
Okay, that's fine. But I agree with your points, guys. That's why I'm bringing that up. But yeah, anyway, so then kind of what I expected is that eventually the group will just be like, okay, so we're just going to put you guys to the test because that's what they do in Jujutsu Kaisen and that's what they did in Black Clover. It's like always this whole like, oh, and also Demon Slayer. It's always this whole, well, you're like very suspicious and a threat to society, but we're going to put you to work. And if we think you're good, we'll let you live. Although in the case of Jujutsu Kaisen, they're still going to kill Yuji later, but that's a different story altogether.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yep.
Um.
So yeah, and then also I think what the other line I want to bring out, or two lines, is that Jinchio is kind of just peeking in, and there's a line that says it's just like Jinchio told me. So I think he knew about Dora beforehand. So I
Yeah.
think he already had like he was already planning on doing this. And the second thing is Yuji. He said, "I've never had a friend like that, not as a student or now." And I'm just like, oh, I feel bad for you, man. You're really bad at people skills, but you just want a friend.
Yeah. Which I was gonna say. Yeah. It's probably. I think Chio reports everything to her grandfather.
Yeah, and that would make sense. Report directly to the head, who is also your grandpa.
Yeah. So he probably was like, "Okay, chill. You keep an eye on them. Make sure nothing bad's going to happen, and eventually I will come and meet them myself." So, yeah, we're at that point.
Yep, and I think next we're probably going to get a training arc. See that being the next thing because both our characters feel like, oh my god, I'm too weak to protect people. blah blah blah. We met the strongest person, so he's going to train us. And since he has a Mononoke in the sword, which apparently nobody in this organization knows, he's going to probably teach him how to use Mononoke powers more effectively or something. That's what I'm
Yeah,
expecting next chapter.
yeah, that's what I'm expecting as well. But yeah, pretty standard chapter of Duran Duran. Pretty straightforward. So yeah, I guess we can talk about Black Clover next.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I
because
think.
as soon as I saw this chapter, I was like, you probably want to say some stuff about it.
Wait, like me?
Yeah, you, because of
Oh
Sora.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, in general, I have some stuff to say because I think second week in a row, Black Clover is my chapter of the week. Because my God, this was so good. So yeah, we do start out with Zora, like Luke said. Basically, like last time we were talking about how Zora used like his magic, and he has like a plan, which involves them needing to keep this thing on for a couple more seconds. And apparently, the plan is just to return his attack back at him because that's what Zora can do with his awesome magic. And I love the panel where they just have the fist clashing because it's just like Zora just went like fist to fist with Lucifero. How awesome is that? And he also broke his arm because I guess Lucifero is not using his full power or whatnot because of course
Well,
he's not.
yeah, because later on he does actually say that.
Yep. So it does make sense how like Zora basically just like broke his arm, but Lucifero's like, oh, that kind of stung. So I mean that's fair, but at least Zora got a cool moment to like hold them off for a little bit.
Yeah,
And then we get the Yami and Noct saying, "Oh, so the Black Bulls, you've seen them yourself, but they're fun to watch, yeah." And then Noct is like, "Yeah, I hate to admit it, but those guys were pretty awesome." Kind of just showing flashbacks of this arc. Um, I think the best one, of course, is still Magna, because that moment with Magna is still like one of the best moments in the series for me.
yeah, I would agree with
This
that.
reminds me, I haven't. Oh, okay. I think Sky Z went off for a bit because he doesn't read this chapter yet.
Okay, all right. Reminds me I haven't read the new. Okay, at least it'll only take me 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So I was. So yeah, we have Sora saying, "Get out there and look good for a." Look good for us, boss men. I love the fact that he just calls them boss men.
Yeah, the translations are awesome here. And then we get.
Actually, one I just want to say quickly. Because I don't, because I'm just like, I can deal with handling the early reads of Black Clover. The line from Neru in one of the like early scanlations that I saw was like, "Nice to meet you" or something like that, rather than "good luck."
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I mean, the lines will be a bit different, but that's not like a huge
Yeah, and then
difference.
I
I
was
just
just,
thought nice to meet you is kind of weird in this context. So
yeah,
good luck,
because
definitely better.
I guess she was referring to Natch, but has she met Natch before at this point?
That is a good question. Not sure. I'm not sure, actually. You might not have,
Hmm.
but eh. Oh, well. Either way, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter too much, I guess. So then we have Yami and Noct combining their powers, Shadow Magic X Dark Magic, and get Kids Playground.
Playground.
And I
Which,
remember seeing that. I was like, that's just the perfect combo name for these guys because as kids, they were going around having mischief. And now they're just doing that again, but fighting Satan.
yeah, fighting Satan, and of course we have to have the Shadow Clone Jutsu from Naruto.
Yeah, but at least this time they're actual shadows. I always found that weird about Shadow Clone Jutsus. They were not actually shadows. Like, this is actually shadows.
Mm, yeah. So we have them. So we have them. Other characters commenting on Natch's power surging through them, and yeah, and oh wait, is this Natch's devils saying this?
Yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
devils are
Oh
saying because like we
yeah.
also see them talk before he uses the spell.
Oh yeah, so yeah, he creates shadows create darkness, deep cloaks, black blade. I love the fact that it's just shadows create darkness.
Yeah,
That's
but then
I
before that it says dark spreads shadows and shadows create darkness. It's basically just say that their synergy is like incredible, which
yeah,
makes sense. It makes sense that certain magics just work really well together.
yeah, and then we get the second bit of damage that Lucifer has taken, which I don't get what this damage is meant to be. Is it meant to be like shadow acid or something like that?
Uh, that is a good question. It's also interesting that's in the shape of a clover.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
just
comment
noticed
on
that.
that. Yeah,
But
that chapter
I
was
think it's
fire.
just a burn. I want to say it was like a burn. That's how I interpret it, but I don't know for
Okay,
sure. It could be a shadow damage.
okay. So he said, so this when Lucifer gets it in his head, like, oh, it's possible for humans to end me, and this way he actually starts to truly acknowledge them. And yeah, I'm gonna take you guys seriously now because this is actually scaring me to think like what Lucifer can actually do.
Yeah, I mean, just that panel of saying "I acknowledge you" just scared me because he's just like, "Oh, I shouldn't just treat you as nothing. You are actually a threat to me. Therefore, I will wipe you out."
Yeah. So again, death flags for Yami. Death flags for Yami.
And Skyzed is also really enjoyed the chapter. He's back now.
Yeah. So Sky said, "Do you still feel like the death flags for Yami are still high?" Because we're getting into the end of the chats where they're like, "Oh, now he's just starting to get serious. Serious, yeah. Screw that. We've come about as far as we can. We can, you two. Um, oh yeah, uh, oh yeah, yeah. They're saying it to Yuno and Asta that we've come about as far as we can, you two. So yeah, pretty much at this point, Yami and I think Natch is on borrowed time at this point.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
And then Skyzed said, "If he's getting serious, I don't know how they can win." I mean, that's true because even when he first showed up, Luke predicted that the captains were all going to get bodied, and he wasn't even trying.
yeah, yeah. It was like, oh my god, they're gonna get curve stomped, and they did, and he didn't even put. He wasn't even putting up a fight. It was just more like, oh, get out of my way, get out of my way. But yeah, we have Yami say, "Here comes the final showdown. Let's do it." Yeah, Yami. I hate to say it, buddy, but I think you're gonna die.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably. But it's been like a really epic fight. This has been
Yeah,
a very appropriately awesome fight.
yeah.
And
And
I really also like Lucifer's design here at the end.
what? Oh, did you say you like Lucifer's design?
Yeah, like I
All
guess
right.
what are we calling this? The second form?
I guess we're calling it the second form, although
I don't know what you want to call it.
uh,
Final
although
form,
it's
maybe.
although it seems to be smaller than his regular form.
Could be. I can't really tell the proportionally. But
Well,
at the
there's
same time, we learned from Frieza that just being smaller in a different form doesn't make you weaker.
yeah. Well, if you look at oh wait, I'm just looking at the panel on
Yes, guys
13.
that also brought up Frieza. Tuguro, I don't know who Tuguro is, guys. That
What did he say? Uh, he is challenging is in Toguru. Let me just see what that actually is. Toguru.
okay. I was just gonna wait for guys to tell me. I mean, apparently I should have recognized it because he was very surprised and did not know who that was.
Oh, from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I watched the first arc of Yu Yu Hakusho, but I haven't gone through the rest. I will definitely. Oh wait, was he the guy from the Dark Tournament arc? Because I keep hearing to watch the Dark Tournament arc. So
Let
if
me
it's
just say.
that, I'll get to it eventually, man. Because like
Yeah,
Yu Yu Hakusho, of course, was
yeah, yeah, he was.
okay. Yeah, so yeah, I'll get to it eventually. But those older anime that are super long, they're hard to get to,
Yeah,
especially because I'm also thinking of getting to One Piece eventually. And yeah, I've heard the Dark Tournament arc. People say it's like their first favorite tournament arc in Shonen, so it's definitely worth reading.
Well, that honor belongs to Battle C for me.
Yeah, fair enough. I've heard good things about that too.
Yeah,
Toguro and Sensui are some of the best antagonists to ever come out. Jump. I take your word for it. I've heard from other people similar things.
yeah. So yeah, really have nothing else to say on Black Clover.
Yep, like I said, this was a really incredible chapter. I just have no idea how Asta, Noct, and Yami are going to do anything, but it'll be kind of fun. And yes, guys, Battle Cities from Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, Battle C is from Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, so yeah, Black Clover, uh, pretty good chapter, but very just basic. Just moving along at a steady pace for once.
Yep. And so I'm looking forward to the next. I don't think it'll be the end of the fight just yet. I think we'll still have like maybe a few more chapters, but it's not looking good for you.
No, it isn't. So yeah, I guess we can do Undead Unluck next.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, because then after that we've only got Ayakashi, Mission Yotsukura, and then Doctor Stone.
Okay, that seems good. Yeah, let's get Undead Unluck out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so get back to the beginning. Okay. Man, my app is being really slow today. But
It's
yeah,
all right.
okay, I have the chapter up. So with Undead Unluck, oh, do you have it up?
Yeah, I have it up.
Okay, yeah, so we start off with actually some union members, Undecreased, Tella, and Billy. And they basically are just saying, oh, okay, so we got the reward for spring right here. And it is, I guess they're also giving back the round table in exchange for taking this reward for themselves. Apparently, the reward is the Aegis. It's one of the three sacred spirit treasures. I don't know. That sounds like a Zelda thing. This is sounds so much like video games content. And Aegis is just like a Xenoblade. Like the last Xenoblade had like a whole character called the Aegis. So I'm just like, man, I get this author really likes RPGs, but like, come on, man,
That is
you're
just
getting a
on the
little
nose.
too. Yep, and yes, guys, it's true. Like, everybody is in danger with Lucifero, but Yami's like our prime target right now. With all the death plagues. But yeah. So the Aegis, we don't know what it does. We just know it can do something for God, and I guess it's just supposed to be invincible and loops attacks in loops past. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's just kind of like a shield to defend against God's attacks, whatever that means. And then we get the other under members, none of which we really know much about. So I don't really care
Yeah,
about.
I don't care. And apparently, Feng is still in the Union's prison, but after Ghost was added, he said, "I've got the hang of this soul thing, whatever that means."
Mhm. He says I can still become stronger. So Fang's probably going to come back.
Yep, probably, which means we might get a rematch between him and Shin.
Yeah, could be. And then Latia is apparently working with our team at the Union to help find Fuko, which is kind of nice of her. But then Rip is I don't actually know what he's doing, but he's doing something else.
In a graveyard.
Yeah, being all depressed about stuff.
Yeah. And then
And
we actually,
then oh yeah, so then basically they're like, okay, well, we have only like 3 months till the Earth is swallowed by the sun, or even just a month, because when you go near the sun, things get really, really bad, really fast. And so then we get cut to Union, who are basically the ones trying to
do
manage the crises.
yeah, actually doing stuff as opposed to Under, who are just standing there.
Yeah, they're really not very useful in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. So then we have June saying like, "Oh, killing off three of the seasons from the world out of out of whack," and basically asking Autumn if killing them would alleviate their problems, and Autumn's like, "Yeah, it'll be pointless because now the Earth is set in motion; it can't be stopped." killing them would cause the temperatures to go even more out of control. Um, which again, I still don't understand the nature of what of this, of like how the seasons have thrown the world out of whack. I mean, I
Well,
get
basically,
for the weather, but like again, still can't really wrap my head around like, oh, we killed three of the seasons, so we're gonna fall into the sun.
well, okay, so what they're trying to say is that because the season, when the Earth goes around the sun, that's kind of what determines what season we're in, where the Earth is relative to the sun. And that by killing three of them, we ended up throwing their orbit around the sun out of whack. And I'm specifically using these vague terms because the actual term revolution is what they're talking about here as the Earth falling into the sun. So, yeah, sorry for the way I'm talking, but I'm just trying to keep consistent with this world's terminology.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
uh,
then, but I do agree to some extent that if you think about it, if one season is available and would fall, and then the Earth is in, well, I guess the other thing is actually the Earth, because of its tilt, if the North Hemisphere has an opposite season from the South Hemisphere. So, okay, maybe if two of opposing seasons survived, we would just be stuck in a position. But I guess because otherwise, I would say it's like we have one season when the Earth stays still, but nah, we need at least two opposing seasons to work in conjunction. I guess. So yeah, I guess that's why they had to kill three of them off. But
mm,
either way, so Juice is thinking, what if we just kill all of them off? Will it help? And it's like no, because fall probably at least keeps them somewhat cool. Because fall is a cooler season. So we then just get a cut to like a whole montage, basically of what all the other negators are doing. Like some of them are going after an Uma called Snow. Top is going after an Uma called Spin, and then Bunny captured Atmosphere along with Shen and Mew.
Mew, yeah.
Uh, yeah, and number one, I just want to point out that Bunny was not counted in Tella's like accounting for where all the under members is. So she's just got didn't even get counted as somebody who
I
matched.
saw that. I saw that. And it's like, is
That's just
Shin?
funny.
Is Shin still counted?
And technically, he's not a negator anymore. But it's still kind of funny because like Bunny is just like a literal pet for like Latia or something. Because she just doesn't. She has like no agency or agenda. She just exists. Yeah,
Okay.
one thing with this chapter, like I was telling Skies it earlier, is it feels kind of like a bit of a jumbled mess here because we um we have like these characters all doing different things and oh what was that?
I don't know. Oh,
Okay, because the comment just
oh, it was me clicking on the comment. So yeah.
oh okay okay
Okay.
Uh, interesting okay but yeah so the sorry, the negators are all doing a bunch of different things across the world, fighting all these Umas, and it's all happening off screen to slightly make things better for Andy to buy time so he could go find Fuko. And I'm just like, okay, but we're not going to see any of this. These characters are all doing all these things in the background. And in addition to that, it's all happening all over the world. Like we're seeing under scattered with most of the characters not doing anything. So this is just the story just like really not making the best use of its cast or its storytelling. It's just like, yeah, everybody's busy doing stuff, but it doesn't really matter. We're all background characters and it's Andy's story that matters.
Yeah, and that's something I'm kind of like a bit annoyed by.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, Nico is just helping with apparently Umas need food. So they need to give them food. You know, that's a new thing I just learned. They need to
Okay.
eat.
Let's just go with that. And then we have June saying, "We will not allow the time you've given us to go to waste, Andy. It's been 2 weeks. Do they know where Andy is? And yeah, and at this point, his emerald transmitter function is off, so he's not. They've not been able to locate him. and Unruin, they've not been able to get as much information on him as they can, because they say the incident occurred on the day Fuka was attacked with no isolated event. Mass suicide has been transpiring in several events around the world, leaving behind a trail of smiling corpses. So not really much information to go off there, because they're just saying several places without any specific locations. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
like the X's, but like that's just vague if we don't know where it is.
Yeah, but we just know it's somewhere in North America, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like. Although Canada's not there, like you can't really
What
see
do you mean
Canada.
Canada's not there?
Like you
Canada's
can't.
right there. Like,
Oh, oh yeah, behind his head. Like
yeah.
Unruin, stop ruining the panels.
Yeah, either way, so they don't have any survivors, witnesses, or any useful information for us. But what we do know is just that people around the world are committing suicide. And I mean, to be fair, considering what's happening with the world, that by itself is not too strange. What is strange is the fact that they're smiling while that's happening. And then
Yeah,
we get to see a city where that's happening uh, with like a giant worm thing
yeah, giant
going
worm
around
thing.
trying to eat people.
Yeah,
I don't know what's
chasing
up with that.
chasing someone who's obviously got a certain disease because they've got a mask on their face.
Uh, yeah, I think masks are just becoming more in fashion with like mangaka are just inspired by what they're seeing around them.
Yeah. So we have is it Unruin doing this?
That's the thing. I thought it was, and I still think it might be, but there's like a dude with a black cloak, and they're keeping it hidden. So I don't know if this is another negator.
Hmm.
Like maybe this is one of the a new negator came into play, or
Um,
Uma.
I'm
I
guessing
don't know what Uma this
Unbitten.
means because they're like zombies. I think that's what we're dealing with, zombies.
I'm unless this is
Oh,
Andy.
no, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But
Because like here in page 14, you see how there's like a black sun in the background?
yeah,
Yeah, that was Unruin's symbol. So it's either Unruin or it's one of the other negators who are loved by God.
okay. So I guess Unliving. I guess that's his ability.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Could be. I mean, I don't know because like we had Spoil, who was kind of had a zombie apocalypse. But I don't know another word for this besides zombies.
Hmm. Yeah, so we have the character who's called Lucy, that's being chased. Her mom gets turned into a zombie as the worm tries to clap down on it before she's saved by Andy. And he's like, "Oh, save your breath. God's not going to do anything for you. Oh, you're too weak. You're a junior." And she asks who he is, and he's like, "Right, let's see. I'm undead. Nah, nick that. I'm Andy." Which, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the first time he's actually addressed himself by that name.
I think so too, which is probably a nice bit of character growth for him.
Yeah, like he's kind
Just
of
kind
like,
of like talking to himself by his name or
yeah, just
his given name.
yeah, like he's just accepted the name. But yeah, we see him using his like, what ability is this again? Like just the blood
It's like one of the
splat.
cannons. I don't remember the exact names of all these moves, but it's just like a blood cannon, basically.
All right, all right. So yeah, he obliterates the worm, and basically that's where the chapter ends. So you were saying like this Lucy character's like, oh, new psychic.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the way she's here makes it feel like she's a new sidekick. And someone pointed out maybe Lucy has a connection to being lucky, and that has something to do with Fuko, and that is why Andy is here. Or that, or Andy is coming to fight the other negator thing. Um, so
Yeah,
it's one or
because
the other. But it's kind of weird that they would have a character give her a name and just be saved by Andy like this because this feels like a new character to join him somehow. But I don't know why she would.
Maybe she actually knows where Fuko is. Like that's her ability.
Yeah, so you think she might be a negator?
I think she might be a negator,
Okay.
but I don't
Well,
know what ability she would have.
that's true. I mean, the names don't always correlate to their abilities. I mean, Andy has nothing to do with being undead. And of course, like, we also have like Tatiana, which what does that have to do with being untouchable, except maybe titanium or something. And then Billy, that's like the most generic name ever. So, I mean, I guess there was Billy the Kid for a little while, but that wasn't even his real ability. So, in that sense, I don't know what her ability is, but I think she'll be important.
Yeah,
Question.
probably. But yeah, pretty much got nothing else to say on Undead Unluck. Don't know if you had
Yeah, it
anything
was
else to
kind of
say.
a scattered mess. I think, kind of like guys that you were saying earlier, if you're still here, uh, it's because it showed like here's what the characters are doing, and it's like okay, cool, but you also basically just push them all to the background essentially, rather than like spending time on their stories and kind of like the efforts to save the world. I don't know. Like the author just wanted to be like, yeah, they're doing stuff, but don't worry about them.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, hopefully chapter 100 will remedy a lot of this.
Well, let's hope so, because then chapter 100 or 101 has to be something important.
Yeah, considering that quest 101 was Ragnarok.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they have
So
like one chapter left to set that up.
yeah, let's see. Let's hopefully see what they can do next time. But yeah, I guess we can move on to Ayakashi Triangle.
All right.
So this was an interesting chapter.
Yeah. Not what I was expecting. And I did have some questions about the new development we just learned about from this series
Yeah, but
because in okay, well, we can get to it if you want.
we'll get to it when we get to it. So we have Matsuri basically thinking about the time when they used to play with Lippy, and they were like, oh, who knew she was an Eon. Um, and we have basically Suzu calling, for lack of a better word, Matsuri a the R word, I guess, because like you and Nino Kuru often put down eons. Oh no, no, not. I wasn't gonna. I was. I misinterpreted that.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
Like I thought she was implying that Matsuri and Nina Kuro were racists because of what we're saying. You and Nina Kuro often put down eons, right? But no, I think it's like more of like, oh no, they actually attack them more and get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what we learned from Matsuri's mom. That modern Ayakashi, which are like Eos and Genos, which come from I both could come from icons. These things are like they're not like natural Ayakashis that stem from natural phenomenons. They are in fact like dangerous and can attack people. But of course, there's exceptions to every rule. And in this case, I guess Lippy was one of them, and then another one is apparently we learned about. At first, I thought she was talking about like Shadow May or something.
Yeah, I thought that as well. But one thing I want to say is I love the line that Matsuri says on page 2 of like, "Mom, I mean Miss Ibuki." It's like, come on, just she's your mom. Just call her mom. You're on the roof as well. Who else is gonna hear it?
I mean, the roof thing I'll give you, but I also admit like there is certain awkwardness. I think if your parents are working at a place you are like if you go to school, because
Yeah,
they
but
want to address you with respect. Like if you're, especially if you're like coworkers, but in this case, it's like even this teacher-student relationship.
yeah,
But
but
yeah,
still, they're on the roof.
yeah, that is true. They are on the roof, and they're talking about Ayakashi. So at this point, she's more being his mom or slash mentor than the teacher. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah, we learned that apparently Sugimori is a
yeah,
genius.
which was something I was not expecting.
Yeah, so I guess what I kind of want to ask you is, do you think this is something that the author had actually set up? Or is it just kind of something he's like, I'm just going to retcon this goofy character I made and make them a genio?
I think it's a retcon because I don't think there was enough set up for it. I mean,
Yeah, later in this chapter, they. Oh,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. If it turns out that it was Lucy that was a Jinchio, that would have been hilarious. Like the one person who didn't believe in Ayakoshi's or anything like that turned out to be an Ayakoshi themselves. And they were just so in their world about believing in aliens they forgot that they were an Ayakoshi.
that actually would be pretty funny. But yeah, the thing is, it feels like a retcon to me too. But this chapter also has like these moments where they were like, "Oh, you see how he was friends with Gakaru? Yeah, so there was a connection between him and Ayakashi's that was like established." So I'm like, okay, is that just a random coincidence that the author's kind of putting in now
I
and just
think it is.
trying to be clever, or okay? So
Yeah.
he's just trying to be smarter than I think he is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. The author. You're not in a Garki. So stop trying to think like this is foreshad. That was foreshadowing.
I do want to see like his author comments on that. Maybe I'll say something there. But yeah, you can keep talking about the chapter.
Yeah. So we find out that should Shijimuro is a Geno, and they're like, oh, we still have to assess whether he's harmless or not. Basically saying like, oh, he's on if he's on our side or not, and um, Matsuo's like, oh, since being able to deceive me and even Shigemoto needs to be on our guard. Yeah, he was so decisive that none of the characters realized it. So yeah, I think so. Yeah, people they're pretty much speaking for the audience at this point as we see. Uh, you know what? I'm just gonna call him Louis Armstrong because that's who he is.
Okay, that's fine
Yeah,
with me.
yeah, yeah. Oh, I'll just call him Armstrong guy. So the Armstrong Gino, yeah, that's better. Is meeting with Shadowmei of being like, Garuku told me about your situation, and he's like, oh, you're gonna help me? Yeah, of course. But first things first, we need to deal with Yayo. Which again, oh yeah, we remember that these two characters that are supposed to be part of the main group actually exist. So they end up going into a room together, and we have pretty much Suzu thinking what I was thinking was going to be this whole chapter, where Chalamet will probably be using Yayu to practice kissing.
I did want to point out something in that particular page where we're literally seeing these two girls with their tongues touching. And last time there was a whole censorship deal. So it's like, hang on, did Shueisha just decide, okay, you know what, fine, you don't have to censor it, or like, is this supposed to be better than what was last
I
week?
get, I guess because they're not really doing it, like they're just sort of like got tongues on top of each other rather than the whole action, if you know what I mean.
I guess I don't know. I feel like we're really pushing what they think is okay to censor. I don't understand Japan.
I don't understand it either. So yeah, we have okay, I'm gonna shoot Mori. There we go. That's better. Mori. So we have Mori standing in the way of Matsuri, and he's like, oh, and they think like, oh, Yayu's in danger. You're on Shadowmay's side, and Matsuri goes to punch Mori, but but his muscles are so muscular that Matsuri bounces off him.
Yep. And that was actually a pretty fun moment right there. But also, it kind of sucks that Matsuri just like he always seems to get one upped. Like he's got a lot more losses, I think, than wins recently.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Pretty
But then
sad. But then we learned that he's apparently born from like the strong thoughts of soldiers. And honestly, that's pretty dark.
yeah, that is pretty messed up. I actually honestly want a backstory on this guy more than just this.
Which is kind of what makes it weird that he feels like a retcon character, where it's like there's probably not much backstory thought up.
Yeah, maybe if we see more of him, like giving eyes to Shigemaru, maybe we could have like figured it out then that he's probably an Aikashi himself.
Maybe, but I wasn't paying attention. But it's kind of hard to say because it feels like the author's saying something. I mean, I just checked his author comment and it was nothing important.
All right.
So I can't tell, but I do find it funny that the cat thing actually worked.
Yeah.
Because it's like I was born from the thoughts of soldiers and their determination, but also kitty cat.
No, I. Oh, you're a bit ahead. You're a bit ahead. You're a bit ahead as well.
Oh,
Um,
I thought you were on the page where he saw the cat,
no,
Shigamaru.
no, no. I was on. I was still on page 10. But yeah, I wanted to talk about like quickly the position that Matsuri's in. She, like in
Oh,
between
yeah,
Susan's legs, and she's like, "No, we're not doing this today."
yeah. Yep. I don't even know why specifically not today.
I guess she's probably we've got more important things to be thinking about. So yeah, use the cat attack, but of course the cat attack doesn't work.
No, it does work.
Oh yeah, it doesn't work.
Yep, it works. That's what was hilarious.
No, I feel no, it doesn't work for Shigeru because you see him going like and then it's like, oh kitty, it's been so long. It's like, get away from me.
Yeah, but okay, it doesn't work for him. But that was the intent Matsuri had, so his strategy worked.
All right, and then it turns out that Yayu is actually helping out Shadow May, basically brushing up on her studying of um, of modern culture, which I found like I was like, okay, I guess that's something we're doing. Like Shadow May really wants to learn everything about it so that she can get into the mind of Suzu.
Yeah, which I also kind of find funny just because, like, okay, if it was Lucy or something. I don't think Lucy's book smart, so it wouldn't make sense for it to be her. But if it was Lucy or something who didn't really know who Shadow May was, I would kind of get it. But Yayu actually knows who Shadow May is. But maybe she's going along with this because she thinks if they befriend Shadow May, then Shadow May will stop being evil.
I guess. But yeah, so it turns out that Mori is like, oh hey, look at all the subject, like basically zeros for Shadow May, and he's more worried as a teacher than basically anything at this point. So yeah,
Yeah, and then the excuse is like, "Oh, but inside my desire for soldiers in battle, it was the desire for peace." And I'm like, "Okay, but then how'd you go from peace to being a teacher?"
I get, I guess, peace to being a teacher is the logical next step.
I mean, that's what Assassination Classroom taught us.
Yeah. Um. So then, Yayu's like, "Oh, I can make time during summer vacation to continue teaching May." And we have Murray saying, "Oh, May, aren't friends the greatest treasure you can have?" And she's just like, "I need to learn so much more about the modern world if I want to beat Susan." Like, how that begs the question, like, how long has Shadow May been in the modern world?
That is true, but then to be fair, even when she was in the modern world, she was kind of in hiding and away from humans, so she didn't even really take the chance to learn about humanity or this world.
Mm. Yeah, but you figured that she would have picked up on some things.
I think she sort of did, otherwise she wouldn't be able to function as like a person at all. So there's, I guess she picked up a little stuff, but any academic stuff definitely is out of the window.
Yeah.
Especially for times I don't even know if people, especially women, got proper education.
Okay. Which honestly now I just want it to be a chapter of just Shadowmate and Yayu just going through school studies, and she's like, I don't get this.
Yeah, that would be pretty fun. And yeah, so then the chapter, I mean, then Shigemaru is upset because he got thrown as a distraction. And then, like, for some reason, the teacher's like, I'm going to say hello again. And I'm like, but why? Why? Either
I
way,
get I guess it was more like, oh, you figured me out, so hello again, Mr. Buki.
So, retcon aside, I do want to say there's something interesting about this development with Shigemaru is that he the fact that Matsuru's mom, who's like that one of the heads of the exorcist organization, if not the head of this branch, was unable to detect him, meaning that there might be other Jinyos that will meet down the line who are in hiding, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, yeah. Now I really want that theory about Lucy being a Jinchio to come true, and she's just so fixated on the aliens that she's forgotten that she's a Jinchio.
But it's kind of weird if she was, but she couldn't see Rochka, in her spirit form.
Well, maybe that's the thing that she's so that she's regressed so much as a Jinryo because she's put all her energy into believing that the alien conspiracy.
Okay, maybe she's just the Ayakashi born from occult desire or something like that.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That
And
would
then
be
all her
hilarious.
abilities are just like weird sci-fi stuff. So when she explains it as weird sci-fi stuff, it's like, well, she's not wrong, but
Yeah.
also it's Ayakashi
Yeah.
stuff.
Or maybe Yayu might be a Jinryo as well, but her powers were like, or maybe she was born from a Jinryo and her powers remained dormant until she actually had them awakened during that fight.
Yeah, and again, this is just a theory I have. I just want to point out it could be that we don't meet another one like this, and this was just a fun retcon they had, and we just have to accept it. But I would like to think that maybe this is the author's way of saying it's like, yeah, some people that you've seen in the cast are not what they seem.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that will be something that will be remain to be seen.
Yep, and I think that's it for Akashi.
Yeah.
I have no real predictions.
I have no real prediction. Like this series could do just whatever it wants.
Yeah. And like I said, I think this week is just like a lot of really random chapters. Cause like we had Witch Watch with just a bunch of genes. We had Ayakashi being, well, Ayakashi. And then we even had like Undead Unluck kind of just doing an assortment of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
and then of course, Earth Child is what we opened with. So there's a lot of just randomness this week. Um, so we should probably go talk about Yozakura, which I think if Black Clover was my number one, Yozakura is probably a two.
Yeah, I really loved Yosuko this week.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think also MHA was a little high for me this week in exchange, but that's mostly because of Monoma. Because
Yeah,
as
of
a
course.
rewind, it wasn't anything special, but you know.
Yeah. So anyway, Mission Yosuko family got a color page this week.
Oh my god, I just saw that, and like I'm not usually like if I wasn't like so bored by the other chapters this week. To be honest, I read this one a little later. I might have started like crying because I just saw this and I'm just like, oh no,
Yeah.
just so cute and so pretty, and
How
I know what you're doing.
yeah, it's death flag like the death flags for Korichiro at this point are just like um just like law. I think Sky said he's caught up on Mission Yosakura.
Yeah, give him a shout out. He
Yeah,
might
I'll
have
get
like, tapped out because our last two series were not what he was doing.
yeah. Oh yeah, he has. So yeah, how can I forget it? How can I forget it? He's got it literally as this core panel. Anyway, we are talking about Yosakura.
Okay, cool. Um, Of course, guys, if you just had to eat or go to sleep, I get it. It's a little late for all of us here, but
Yeah.
oh my god, this color page is so beautiful and so depressing, and the chapter is called "Path to Retreat." Like,
Oh yeah.
uh,
What?
oh, okay, well, we should probably talk about the actual chapter now.
Okay. So yeah, pretty much got most of the focus on Korichiro, which was nice.
Yep, absolutely. And David, I'm here now, bro. It's not even 4 p.m. yet. Man, I don't know where you're at. I guess you're in California or something, if that's the case. Actually, no, you'd have to be in. Wait, what? I got my time zones wrong.
Yeah.
No,
Unless he's
actually, you got to be even further, like back somewhere.
unless
Yeah,
he's in New Zealand.
I guess, yeah. Because if I trace back, it's like about there. But anyway, cool. I'm glad you're here, man. I wasn't sure if you tapped out for the last couple because we know you weren't caught up with those, but yeah, general view, Ayakashi kind of random, and Undead Unluck, I'm a little confused.
Yeah, but yeah,
But then with this chapter, Yozakura, that's where we're at right now, and Coach, it's a Korichiro chapter.
yeah. So this would be Sacred Heroes chapter.
Oh, it's like Monday for you. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, it's on the other side.
So yeah, we have Shino saying it's nearly impossible for most spies to track Richo, but since we're siblings, we can predict his actions. And Nano saying he's been quite through this time, abnormally so. Before Ken goes like he didn't even reach out to anyone in the business for assistance or take any routes we know of. And the thing that's most interesting is what Shinto says is like usually, when he gives me an assignment, he leaves me to my own devices, but this time he's very specific about the instructions and a lot of adjustments, which he's never been done for before. And yeah, Futaba is like, oh my god, I can't believe he's gonna do what I think he's gonna do. Which, since they know him, he's like, yeah, he's probably going to face their father, and he has done.
Yep. And a lot of that was just recaps from like the last chapter,
Yeah,
they were saying. And then, of course, we already saw Kiricho entering the cave thing that they found.
yeah,
Okay. And then, of course, inside the cave with Sonomin is their dad, which, again, we noticed last chapter he sort of teleported over to Tayo last time, and now he teleported back here. His abilities is really broken.
yeah, really broken. I, um, as Koichiro says, he's detected multiple points with abnormal concentration of sabu. So maybe in this area. So yeah. Oh no, he's talking about like I was
The
gonna say something.
computer,
I
Shinzo's
was
computer, or Shion's
yeah,
computer.
yeah, Shion's computer. So detected multiple points with abnormal concentration of Simonia in the area. So he recognizes it as like, oh, the family heads are here. And he's going to smash through the roots that Ingare at Musumi. So basically, what probably a lot of people predicted in the last chapter, like a fight to sort of like protect Musumi because that's what Karicho's all about.
Yeah, which is very in character for him, of course.
Yeah.
And I think
So
we were also saying he's probably going to take on the dad alone because I mean it's still their father. It's probably not an easy thing for the family to do. So he's
yeah,
taking it upon himself. That's a big brother kind of thing to do.
yeah, and then we have the spider webs that he's had enhanced, basically cut through Momo. But of course, Momo is made completely of the Samuni, so he's able to regenerate himself and blast at Koicho, who's blocking with a spider web. Yeah, and he mentions that. Oh yeah, I saw right through this. Dad has become a monster, made you sloppy before Momo is like shooting away at it, but it's causing no effect to Koichiro at this point. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna yeah, something's gonna happen to Koichiro, like because he's dominating the first part of this fight.
I do wonder what Thurman will think about this chapter because I know he wanted more like story stuff, and he's sometimes a little more critical about the action chapters on Yozakura. So I'm interested to see what he'll say because I know
Yeah,
for David he was a little confused at some stuff because we kind of went from a bunch of slice of life stuff to this, but I don't know. I thought it was a very nice transition and pretty well set up. So
yeah, it was pretty well set up, and I think they were well needed because it gave. Uh, I think the fact that they got so much Koichiro focus on those chapters made me probably hammered in the idea of like, oh yeah, Koichiro is either going to be taken out permanently. Wouldn't say die, more like put into a comatose state for a long time, or just straight up die.
yeah, which I mean like you said, we're probably going to at least see his blooming first before we get into that. But apparently, the way his what Shinzo did is he soaked the sonamine growth from Tayo's body again, showing that like all that stuff we were watching Tayo do is all serving the purposes of the plot. That's one thing that the Gyozakura has been doing very well recently, like just combining all the slice of life to the plot because
Yeah,
everything's connecting very nicely here. It's just kind of hilarious that he thinks that, oh, Dad, you got too used to having being OP, and now I found a way around it so I can beat you easily. And I'm like, dude, do you not understand your dad's holding back? Because he's literally like, right now you still have time to turn back. It's like your dad doesn't want to kill you. Like if he wanted to kill you, he would have done that already.
yeah, he really would have done. Um,
But he doesn't want to because he's your dad.
yeah, and somebody actually said that the fact that Momo might not want to do this, but he might actually have to kill Koricho in order for his plans to work.
Yeah, which is why he's. Then I was also thinking along those same lines, and I think I was bringing up the whole Death Note thing, where I do kind of appreciate when a character is like, "Okay, I'm willing to kill my family if I have to," but I don't. Although in his case, he doesn't really want to. But then this chapter, since we learned that the heads are here, I almost wonder if he didn't just want Kyuchiro to be here because even if he's not going to kill him, he could just tire him out. The other heads will try and take him out, and that's what he doesn't want.
Yeah. Also, I've just got to say, people who thought Creature was creepy in the beginning of the series, um, you're probably going to be like, how dare the author make him look badass on pages 16 and 17?
I don't know who's saying that. It's just really cool artwork. Actually, this whole chapter is just so much fire artwork.
Yeah, definitely. But no, it's one of those. I'm just like being that just that stereotypical. Like, I hate this character. Why are they making them badass?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I guess that I would be surprised if some people probably said that about Monoma. Although most of the things I've been seeing have been positive so far. But
Yeah,
like I bet, like if, for example, in the final fights in MHA, if Mineta did something really cool, I bet you'd be upset too, Luke.
yeah. I would be like, how dare Manaka get a really badass moment?
So I mean, you can't be like, you can't really blame anybody who would be upset with this, even though I'm not. And yeah, Sky said, yeah, I think we're going to get blooming pretty soon, considering after he pulls off like a strong attack against his father. Then right afterwards, get like the whole shakeup of like, oh no, something's coming, and
Yeah,
that something was like the other heads of the Yozakura showing up.
yeah. Because he says, "Oh, sharp, deep, a fine strike," and that's exactly why I can't help but feel sad. So like, mate, so like, he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but this is the end for you, Karicho."
Yeah,
Yeah,
which we really need to learn about Momo's. Like, what has he been doing and why?
yeah. So so yeah, we get the other heads. So we get heads, I guess, 1 to 5 here.
Yep, and I find it funny. Last time we were talking about like which head was going to be next and like which character will it be associated with, and it turns out it was just like all of them at once.
Yeah. Although it's not all of that, because it's like, oh wait, no, because we don't know 6 and 7 because um Mutsumi's grandmother is who's alive, she's the eighth. Then it's her mother who's the ninth, and then Mutsumi herself is the 10th, and we've only got 1 to 5. I'm guessing 1 to 5 here, so we don't know where 6 and 7 are.
Well, we did take out one of them who
Well,
was
no,
Django's.
yeah, but that was the fifth head, like the fifth head. So
Okay, so 5 is already gone.
yeah, and two's here because she's right there where it says this is the end for you. So
So
that's
we're
the
only missing one then, right? Except wouldn't one be um yep, the villain, what was her name?
Sabumi. Oh yeah, Sabumi
Yes,
herself.
yes, thank you.
All right, so Sabumi
So
would be.
Sumi's
Oh
one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The one at the bottom, that's number 2. So three,
So
3, 4. Oh yeah. So yeah, we are only missing that. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, this is right. This is right. These are the other heads. Yeah, this is
yep,
right.
yep.
Yeah.
We're just
So
bad at counting.
yeah. So we have I'm guessing the one with the sword that's gonna be the one related to Shinzo. The one next to it is obviously Shino. Uh the one in all white, is that meant to be Nanano?
I think the Nanano one. Well, actually, it could be. It could actually. I
Yeah,
was gonna say at first it was the nun like character, but then no. I think the one the white coat probably like a scientist type
yeah.
person.
Because I feel like the one with the nun outfit, that's Karicho because they've both got their eyes closed.
Yeah, and that should be all of them because
Yeah, yeah,
Kango
that's all.
took care of, and
Yeah, that
obviously Tayo's not gonna get one.
yeah. Tao's not going to get one, and Mutsumi can't have one because obviously she's the head.
Yeah. So, yep. So, yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah,
We have like all of the remaining antagonists kind of lined up, and it's not looking good at all for Kyoichiro. If we thought Yami was in a situation,
yeah. This.
Kyoichiro is just like already like 10 feet under.
Oh my god! I've just thought about something really horrific. What if they
Uh,
use his spider webs to cut his head off?
oh, man. Oh, boy.
and they
Well,
just and they just sent a gift, as in it's his head in a box.
I mean, I feel like they're on their way here, so I think they're going to see it happen. I think it's going to be one of those kind of deaths, if he dies, of course.
Yeah,
And then this guy's had left us a couple comments. Let's see. I want Momo and Bond flashback. Yep, I agree because it looks like there's some beef between them, which makes sense because that's like a father-in-law kind of situation. And then we had one that was taken out, and then yeah, we have them all accounted for, and we don't know which ones are which apart from two. Yeah, that's true, but we think we figured out based on their designs who they're going to be like, and that's at least something. I
the
don't
one with
think Ichiro is dying, to be honest. And yeah, that is a possibility. It could just be she gets rescued because of power of family or something.
yeah.
But
But
at the
here's the
same
thing.
time, there's a lot of jet flags.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If Koricho dies, I this would definitely put Mission Yotsukawa like up there. Like it had the guts to kill off a main character.
Yep, it's a pretty major character too. So, and of course, it would be a pretty easy way to give him a quote unquote redemption through this because he was kind of like not like an antagonist, but like kind of like oppositional force to the main
Yeah,
character in the beginning. And so for him to like pass on is usually the
yeah.
way people like to redeem characters.
Uh, And also and also out of all of them, he's the strongest. Like there's no doubt about that. He is the strongest.
Yeah. So the fact that the other family members could just pick up for him would fit. And yeah, you're right. He could just get injured. Like Luke said, he could be so badly injured he's just out of commission for the rest of it, which honestly I would still be fine with because it would do the same things without necessarily
Unless
killing.
unless he loses his arms, like both
No,
his
I mean
arms.
that kind of still fits. Basically, he can't fight anymore.
Yeah, and and again, oh, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, yeah, I've got it here. Like, because here's the thing: like, they've been defeated before, but they've never like had like a defeat that's like a major serious impact, except for I want to say with Kengo, what after the fight with the fifth head, but like nothing that would be like, oh my, we are not strong enough to take them on yet.
And plus, his own line in this that was the title sake is "I had no path of retreat." I mean, come on, that doesn't get more explicit.
Yeah, it's like it's basically uh the oh, Miriam versus Nedro fight in Hunter x Hunter.
Yep. And
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I want to say I'm looking forward to it. I'm actually pretty scared.
yeah, I'm pretty. Although I'm interested to see what the other heads can actually do.
Yep. Because I think, well, this next fight's going to be just like a bad time for us. It'll be a good time to see like what the powers are of the other heads, which will be good to
Yeah.
see.
But yeah, that was Mission Yotoko Family.
Yep.
So
I think that's all you have to say, right?
yeah, that's all I have to say. So
All
now
right. In that case, is it just our grand finale?
it's our grand finale. It's Doctor Stone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this week we continue the backstory, like I thought. So,
Which hey, I'm all for it. Like, if we continue this backstory for the next 2 weeks, I'll be all for it as well.
I mean, I don't. I think actually, well, we can talk about it near the end, because
Yeah,
man, the end.
because next chapter is the 5th anniversary chapter.
Yeah, which I mean, I think that's still kind of a week off from when they actually started, but they're getting two color pages in a row, so whatever.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, we're getting the. I think the next two chapters are basically going to be like I don't know if I'm necessarily part one or part two, but I think they're going to go together, kind of like how we last time we got two color pages in a row, or
Yeah.
actually three, but we had like two that connected. That's what I'm predicting for color pages.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we start off with ironically a tree. Um,
Wait,
yeah,
why is that ironic?
um, I don't know why. I don't know why. Oh no, because it was like an oak tree, which is the Dot Stone trivia said they're kind of like long living, but this one is dying.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Got it.
and and we get the catch. All life must inevitably face death, and the Y Man are no exception. For those petrification devices, the mechanism guts eventually oxidize, or in simple terms, they rust. See, this is why I find most fascinating about Y Man is the fact that it seems to fear death itself and actually just fading away. So it's kind of like enforcing its idea of like, oh, the ultimate goal for us is to survive, um, if we survive, but if we survive, then who's going to look after us? So we have to make sure that humanity has eternal life, but yet they don't want eternal life. Why is that?
Yep. And it is also kind of interesting that we learned that oxygen is poisonous to them because that'll be something important, as we'll see later on.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, I was a little confused the first time, like I read this next dialogue when I was reading the chapter. These lives now fade, because I was like, wait, so then does that mean that the petrification devices that were sent to South America died off? They were all
Yeah,
like
yeah, they
dead.
did. They did. It was mentioned that they were all dead.
Yeah, so I do want to bring that up because I was confused a little about something with that in regards to it, but I think will make sense with a later dialogue bubble. So just
Yeah.
something to keep in mind.
Okay. All right.
Skazet said, because that U.S. character was up to something during the silver rank exam. Oh yeah, yeah. You mean what comes after? Oh yeah, we that is something to talk about. But we were always wondering if it would go like international at some point, the story of Mission Yozakura, because then it could really go on for a while.
Yeah, I think it will. There will come a point where the international spies will come in.
And that would be kind of good because I think even My Hero, they tried to squeeze in some international stuff near the end, but it just felt a little more forced.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Dr. Stone. Uh, I love how it's like the titles of the chapters are like polar opposites. So last chapter it was Y Man, now it's humans.
Yep, I think that's a great parallel too.
Yeah. So continue on by saying the parasites offered the initiate allure of eternal life for the Wyman. There was no conception of of negotiation, but they could employ logic. So basically, thinking like a machine all the time and being like, oh wait, yeah, this population down here is not aware of our existence yet, referring to when they first made the contact with Wyman, which nice callback there. And then we get obviously the end of Treasure Island when Senku defeats Ibara, and the Y Man thinks like, oh wait, the petrification beam was activated via radio waves rather than an actual voice. It's rather than it realizing, oh wait, it's an actual voice itself, and then like, oh wait, then the same method will be deployed at the same frequency with the same voice. Okay, so this is okay. So yeah, we get the explanation of why Senku's voice was appearing.
Yeah, basically,
It
and
was
this
the
was a little different than what I interpreted in the Raws, because when I was reading the fan translations, I thought that Y-Man was correlating. Oh, okay, wait, I heard this voice before. This is the same voice that spoke to me with when I went all why on everybody, and then he heard it again. So, or sorry, they heard it again. So then they decided to use Senku's voice. But in this case, it seems just like the Medusa was activated for the first time with radio waves, and then they picked up on it. So then they're like, okay, we know what frequency their radio is, so we're just going to send this exact frequency back at them and then
yeah,
petrify.
yeah, and
So the
also I
reason they
was
did it is because Senku activated the Medusa for the first time with radio, and Y-Man picked up on it. Go ahead, Luke.
yeah, and I was gonna say yeah, because if you remember, like um when they first made contact with Wyman, Senku was nowhere near the Medusa, but since they had the earpiece on the Medusa when he petrified Ibarra, that's when they actually picked it up.
Yep. Which, yeah, so that all makes sense now. I mean, like, because we were, everyone was like, is this Senku from the future, a twin brother? It's like, no, it's just AI who picked up his voice via radio and then decided to send it back at them because that's the frequency the radio is at.
Yeah, and they're sending it back in a way of like they can only think of like the Earth needs to know about the glory of petrification. So again, loving the fact that it's seemingly like it wants to say to humans, "Hey, we've got this amazing thing for you guys," but they're not. It doesn't seem to grasp the concept of like maybe humans don't want that.
Yep. Which, I mean, well, I think it starts picking up some hints later, though. But one thing I was wrong about, I thought one thing we would see is the Y-Man, once we went to America and started fighting with Stanley and Zeno, like it picked up on all these radio conversations and it would have all these thoughts about, human beings and the way we fight wars. But they really don't go into it. They just kind of skip right to the part where Joel picked up on his communicator Y-Man's message and just had the Earth get petrified. So
Yeah,
it really didn't care about the American War. So that was one of my predictions that was wrong. Just want to
yeah,
mention.
I guess it was more of the case of the fact that nobody was speaking into the Medusa at that point at all, except for when Joel's Joel's watch made contact.
I guess so, but it's just that the Y-Man, when they first arrived on Earth, they were monitoring our radio waves. So I thought they were just doing it again. But I guess they don't really care about what we have to say.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, we have the Y Man continue on by saying the entire Earth was once again encircled by the Petra beam, and the Y Man felt a great relief, basically coming to the conclusion of like, oh success, the planet's most intelligent life forms have come to understand the glory of petrification. But yeah, after the whole time skip, they're like, once more, humanity begins exchanging radio waves while we're fighting the petrified population, and thinking like, why are they out of the stone? What? Why did they reject everlasting life? The logic is not apparent. Perhaps the truth is like, so basically the "do you want to die" basically could be interpreted as a threat.
Yep. Which, yeah, it was just a genuine question. This is around the time Y-Man starting to maybe think that people don't want to be petrified and live forever.
Yeah,
So what's interesting is then put him in the vacuum tube, and our Medusa makes a reference that the poison is gone, the oxygen has vanished, mobility is restored. So this is like the important point I wanted to bring up. So we learned that the Medusa actually is able to move in a vacuum, and the reason is because oxygen is poisonous to them. So they, I think, have a sort of fail-safe mode where they can only be activated via voice or other people um, when exposed to atmosphere, but they can self-activate once the oxygen is gone. It's kind of like a safety measure built into them. In addition to that, I mentioned that all those Medusas in South America died, and that's oh wait, sorry, actually that one I'm saving for a bit later. Come back to this point.
Yeah,
Come back to the point. I did just want the only last thing I want to say for this page was that the Medusa activated the petrification again on its own, I guess as a way to alert of the intelligence existence. I did wonder I did wonder why the Medusa didn't just start sending radio waves out and saying, "Hey guys, I'm the Medusa you guys have been using. I'm a living thing. We're on the moon. Let's have a conversation or something."
I
It
guess it
just
could.
decided to send a petrification wave instead.
I guess it couldn't do that until because it was the Medusa talking its whole time. I guess it just only could pick up because the thing it picked up from Senku was just the 5 meters 1 second. So that's what got it its hand of like, okay, that's what they want now. That's what they're getting at now. They're not saying anything else other than the petrification attack itself.
My headcanon interpretation is it couldn't send radio waves in the vault. Like I don't know what the vault is made of, but you probably just couldn't send out any messages. So that's how I'm headcanonizing it. Because the other thing is, I think that the Medusa is unable to communicate when it's in its failsafe mode that I mentioned. So the only time it could have done something was when it's in the vacuum tube. But when it's in the vacuum tube in the safe is like, I don't know, metal or something that blocks off radio waves. And so, because of that, it could only use the petrification beam to try to send out a message, so to speak. So that's my headcanon reasoning.
Okay, fair enough. Fair
Because the
enough.
next time the Medusa does start talking to us when we put it in a vacuum tube and we're on the moon. So, and then it actually just starts talking with us.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. So we have going back to the moon, and again, glorious shot here on page 9.
Yeah. The artwork in this chapter is great. And this is just like one of the amazing panels.
Yeah.
And I will say one of the things is like the raws they just look ugly when you like see these pictures, but then the officials look gorgeous.
Right. So yeah, they conclude that the misfire of Gen and Yo wasn't a misfire. It was an intelligent attack of I- international international act of Wyman. And it says, yeah, that is correct. Um, and Senku, I love this interaction here where it's like, okay, I've just got 1 point to clear up here, and Taiju is just there at ground zero, like, only one? I'm still in the dark with all this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel that way because I've seen some comments being like, "I don't understand what's happening." I mean, so again, gives them like the 1 point. It's like, listen, all you need to know is that these things petrify people and then want the people to serve them so they can live forever.
Yeah, and Senku says that was their goal all this time, and yeah, I get you want us to use our science to replace it, and I'm glad they brought this up because this was something that we were bringing up last time. Yeah, he
Yep.
wants science to bring to replace your batteries and create more of you, but seeing humanity in stone for thousands of years, you destroyed scientific civilization, which was key to the whole operation. Why shoot yourself in? Why shoot your own planet in the foot like that? And I love how Wyman's like, yeah, maybe we should explain that.
Yep. Because apparently, and this is actually was one of the things people predicted when we got to the moon. We found your space equipment, and this is why they were stationed near it. So now we know why that is. And then this kind of told us that there's intelligent life here. So we weren't aware that the kind of species that can do space travel would need hundreds, thousands of years to awaken. We kind of overestimated your intelligence.
Yeah,
It turns out humans actually are stupid, which which also suggests a couple things that I want to talk about. Number one, it suggests that other species, yes, probably would have awoken much faster if they'd done this before. And so humans on this cosmic scale are really dumb. And number two, if you remember, This Medusa like is trying to measure people's intelligence by like how fast they take to wake up, right? And we know that Senku took like 3,700 years, and he's like the smartest character in our story. And the dumbest character in our story is Taiju, and he woke up 6 months later. And they were both using effectively mass brain power, although Taiju just has less brain power in general.
Yeah.
But difference between Taiju and Senku's awakening is like 3,700 months, or 3,700 years and 3,700 years plus 6 months. I'm obviously rounding, but the point is it's just a difference of 6 months over the course of thousands of years, which means on a cosmic scale, the intelligent, based on the Medusa's criteria, Senku and Taiju aren't that huge of a difference in intelligence, at least compared to the other alien species. Because the 6 months difference between the smartest and dumbest person in this series, compared to like what other species are, yeah, compared to the other species that probably woke up way sooner, that's just how outclassed we are in intelligence. It's kind of crazy if you think about the math.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh.
So I'm just saying, if we ever run into aliens here and they ever want to take us out, we're doomed.
Oh my god. Please at least keep the aliens human. Like
That
human
doesn't even make
aliens.
sense. Oh, humanoid, you mean?
Yeah, humanoid aliens.
So they just got to be like shaped like people? I mean, that's just convergent evolution, I guess.
Yeah, shaped like
But
people.
I don't think they'll because I don't know if that'll even happen if they did want to go that route. Just because the Medusa is like the first like off Earth kind of thing we found, and they're so different from people, not just how they look, but how they think. Because like the big thing people were talking about for this chapter I saw on Reddit, a cool term I learned was blue and orange mortality, which is kind of like black and white mortality, but like an alien version of it. It's so different from ours, but it still has like their own definitions of good and bad. So in that sense, I feel like if we ran into aliens, they would be very different from us.
Okay. All right. But still, I don't want them to look too different, if that makes sense.
We'll see. I mean, I'm just saying this hypothetical. We might never see aliens. I'm just saying if they exist, they're way smarter than us, like several leagues smarter than us.
Yeah. So yeah, we have Gen saying anger and
Indignation.
intonation won't help us, and Cena is just like they're simply explaining the truth in their own way. Yep, that just about sums it up.
Yeah, and
And
I like that panel because it's like Chrome's like, "Hey, I'm smart," and Zeno's like, "Yeah, no, but people are stupid." So
yeah,
that
yeah,
because that's his whole motivation.
yeah, definitely. And Senku's like, maybe our science is lagging behind a little. Like, how are you guys defying gravity? How do you float around like that? I don't get a clue, but I'm ready. So, like, I think I don't know if you brought that up, like how they're floating around, or
I did.
oh yeah, you did. Like, oh, all right, because I was like, I couldn't remember if it was you or Tekken 101 who, because he did a video on this as well.
He might have too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Um,
definitely did. And I will say this line does kind of bother me a little because I mean, the way I interpreted it is like Senku's like, yeah, I have no idea how you guys are doing it. So I'm not sure that's Inagaki's way of saying it's like, yeah, I'm not going to explain this. They can just float. Or other people have said, because Senku's next line is, I'm ready to learn, that we're going to learn about it.
I
But I don't
guess we are. I guess we're gonna figure out what all the things about the Medusa coming up.
That's what I'm hoping is what we get. But man, this panel I'm ready to learn is so pretty.
Yeah, I know. With just the Senku and the Earth behind him.
Yep, and just all the details of his spacesuit. It like there are artists out there who always like to talk about how hands are hard to draw, and I believe them. Hands look weird, but look at the way he just drew this hand.
I know.
Oh my
I
god!
Oh my god. Yeah. And also that's gonna be like the thumbnail for my review.
Oh
This
yeah,
page.
good
Definitely.
choice.
Yeah. So yeah, we have Senku continue on by saying humanity's throne bone scientific civilization is still only a few thousand years old. our lives may be fleeting, but we've got 7 billion people to pick up where the last folk left off. That's how we make progress at Disney Space. On that note, why man, I want to negotiate just you and me face to face, and everyone's freaking out by this. Like, he doesn't want, especially again, it's like, yeah, he doesn't want the rest of the world listening on this conversation, and the, and yeah, that's kind of a bit weird. Why would Senku want that?
Yeah, because it's interesting because we were talking about how like the whole world is learning about all of this at once, and they definitely emphasize that right here. So, like, the whole world learned a lot about the Medusa and petrification and immortality. And now Senku's like, okay, now we need to make everything private. And I'm like, wait, why now? We already had so much information that should cause panic, but this is somehow worse. And it's also Senku who's the one requesting it. So he has something he doesn't want anybody else to find out. Not even the other Ash, like Kohaku and Stanley.
Yeah. And then I just love this panel, like page 16 and 17, of just like this swirling vortex of Medusas, where and you just see these tiny little specks that are Stanley and Kohaku, like just staring up at just this mass of like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, and I saw the trivia page brought up that Stanley is just pointing his gun at them. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
it looks so funny. When you see it, it's like pointing a gun at a kaiju. It's like, yeah, that's not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's not going to do anything. But yeah, we get to the final page of the chapter where we have the Medusa with Senku standing on top of a platform of Medusas, and we get the caption that says, "The Y-Man transmits its information solely through electromagnetic waves. The device surface above absorbs those waves, so any transmissions within a sealed sphere would be contained and unavailable to outside parties." Okay, Senku is probably going to tell them at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, well, before we get to that, I just want to say I think this is super clever because we already knew that the Medusas could sneak past radio waves because of the stealth ship and everything. So the fact that they're building this is what's called a Faraday cage. A Faraday cage is basically
All
like
right.
a device that blocks off electromagnetic communication from the outside. So the fact that the Medusa are making a spherical Faraday cage with themselves is such a clever way of using pre-established things to make something new. But second, yeah, Senku will probably have to tell him, but the fact that he wanted to keep it secret makes me think that there's at least some details he won't admit to, or at the very least, he's going to keep it a secret for a little while longer. So I'm really worried what's going to happen next chapter. Because I was telling Shonen Oji, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, but I am so basically, as Senku says, the whole universe had better get excited, and yep, I am excited.
Yeah, and even just the last words he says, he wants them to lend us his body or the Y Man's bodies, and then the whole universe. I'm like, wait, Senku, are we
Oh,
going to do interstellar travel? Are you about to do some interstellar travel nonsense?
oh, 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 oh,
Because then we got to go
oh,
find the aliens.
oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, that has just opened up a whole can of worms. It's like, okay, what if there's not another arc, but this is again, what if this is gonna be Doctor Stone Part 2, where it's gonna be Boichi's science?
See, that's the thing. I feel like if Dr. Stone gets a sequel, you kind of have to let Boichi take the reins from here so that he can go crazy with all the sci-fi stuff. We can canonize Ray. It'll be
Oh,
great.
yeah, but yeah, now that you've brought that up, the fact, because again, we still have no idea. I feel like one of the big questions now is like, why, man? Where did you originally come from?
Yeah, that's what other thing I'm hoping is going to happen next chapter. And actually, while we're here, I think an important point that I hope is also brought up is the fact that they established the Y Man has different, is not a monolith. There's different personalities within the hive mind, which means that next time when Senku's talking with them one on one, we might get to see some of that discrepancy between the Y Man's different arguments um, or different sides. Sorry. And I think the last thing I wanted to. Luke, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still up.
Okay.
I was just letting you finish.
Oh yeah, cool. Thanks. Yeah, and I think the last thing I wanted to say is I was talking about with the Doctor Stone Discord server about stuff as the fan translations were coming out. Is someone brought up? Okay, wait. So we proved that 3,000 or thousands of years is too long, much longer than Medusa anticipated. So why did they wait that long? And some people were like, well, they just invested a lot of resources. I mean, they literally sent advance force down to South America, and now they're dead. So, and they weren't. I don't think they were supposed to die. The humans were supposed to revive beforehand and save them, but they didn't happen. So they're like, well, we already lost so many people that we kind of have to stay. But then I had a theory that probably won't be confirmed, but I'm going to throw it out there. Is maybe they did. Maybe some of the Medusas did leave, and everything we're seeing here are just the few Medusas that have decided to stay around.
That
They could
is,
be floating all around the universe.
yeah, they could be because the fact that Senku says the whole universe had better get excited. I think again, this might actually be like not the end of Doctor, because it just seemed really weird that this would be like the end of Doctor Stone.
I mean, a story has to end at some point. And
I know it,
Inagaki himself said he had like the next 3 years planned back in 2019.
yeah,
So
I know he had it. I know the story has to end, but I don't. Again, I just feel like there's so much more Doctor Stone could do, especially with this revelation.
yeah, Sky's Ed still thinks it's ending. And yeah, I think it'll probably end, but if we ever get a spin-off, I think I would well I think what would be nice is like Inagaki could write some kind of side story with the Americans or something so we can learn about what was going on with them before Senku arrived. And then Boichi can maybe just do a bunch of alien stuff because we
Yeah,
know they have to exist.
yeah.
Unless, of course, we're going to see them next chapter because I don't know what Senku's going to do.
I
And
hate the
okay,
idea of a sequel. Yeah, I can understand that, but it at the same time, yeah, you just the fact that Sinker's bring up the whole universe, like that's got to mean something.
yeah, but we're going to find out what that means. Hopefully next time because the one thing that I will say is that I'm hoping this isn't going to be a similar situation to like Emma from Promised Neverland when she makes a deal with him and then they have to go and Emma's like, okay, I took care of it. And then they don't find out till like the very end what Emma's deal was. Like, I don't want Senku to just leave us hanging for like
No,
chapters on end. I want to
no.
know next chapter what is happening.
Nah, you're looking too far into it. Maybe I am, but that's the beauty of Doctor Stone.
And guys, I do understand why you would hate a sequel because like other series like Naruto and like long running stories where they just really try to milk everything going on is kind of like leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. So I can understand where it'd be better for the story to have its final conclusion. But at the same time, it could still go on for a bit longer potentially. It's
Yeah.
definitely not going to be ending like within the next two chapters.
Oh no, definitely
We're going
not.
to at least have a couple more months.
I'd say at the very maximum at this point, if this is truly the final arc of the series, like maximum 250 at this point.
Yeah, and that's like 20 chapters, which is like 5 months.
Yeah. Uh,
Yep, and
so
that sounds about right.
yeah, that sounds about right. Unless he wants to go the extra mile and go to next year, so that it ends on the 6th anniversary. We get another year of
Uh,
Doctor Stone.
it's going to be a hard time stretching it, honestly, from where we are in the fifth anniversary, for like a whole year.
Yeah,
Unless, of course, it's just a really long epilogue, but I don't think they'll do that because
no.
Inagaki, I don't think seems like he would do that. Plus, I'm sure he
No.
wants to focus on his other series as well. I know he said where he's not rushing the ending of this with Trillion game going on, but at the same time, it's got to be hard working on two manga at the same time.
Yeah, it has got to be hard working on too much. Yeah, it won't. It would be stretching it. It's ending before the next serialization round. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, when is the next serialization round anyway?
I
So guys,
have
if
no
you
idea.
happen to know offhand, like let us know because that's would be a good prediction line. Um, yeah, I think it'll probably be Shikamaru and Dr. Stone. Um, because like Magu already ended. So and we got like two new series like in the magazine. And hopefully peace. Yep, probably 2 to 3 months. Okay. Yeah, and like what we said, I think 5 months is the longest we can see it. So 3 months could work.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's Dr. Stone. I don't really have anything else to say on it.
Yeah, because it's hard to predict what Senku's gonna do, except he wants to keep this a secret.
For some
What's funny is
reason.
like I've seen a few people who are like a little upset at Senku for just taking the initiative to be like, okay, I'm just gonna unanimously decide what we need to do without any input from anybody. It seems a little strange for somebody who tried to team up with everyone, but at the same time, I don't care. This is cool.
Yeah. I,
That's not really the best argument I have, but because they have a point, but at the same time, maybe it'll make sense once we hear what Senku's plan is.
maybe.
Know it's Dr. Stone time, but what about Undead Unluck? Some people have said it could be near the end. Yeah, we did talk about that, I think, because last chapter really did feel like we were entering the last arc just because the way they ended things. And we could still be, but it's just, I don't, Undead Unluck, especially with the newest stuff, I don't think you're caught up, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But the current chapter makes me think we're still going to have a little bit more to do. But then at the same time, something big has to happen, like within the next two chapters or so, because it's like near 101. So I can't tell you how Undead Unluck's going to play out because it's a very unpredictable series. But at the same time, I think it might end soon, but because this author is really burning their time in the
Yeah.
manga.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the stream. Thanks for joining us, Sky said. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for all the comments.
Yep, it's a little late, but I'll put the timestamps in at a later time for people who want to
Yeah,
catch the video.
yeah, yeah, and it's way late for me now, so I'm gonna be headed to bed in a bit. So until then, peace.